Carolina Panthers football is being brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of the Carolina Panthers. By Pepsi, born here, raised by Panther fans everywhere. By Autovell. Autovell is the car wash provider of the Carolina Panthers. By Bojangles, your official tailgating headquarters of the Carolina Panthers. It's bow time. By Sacrete. No matter what projects are in your lineup, Sacrete has the right concrete and masonry products for the job. Use what the pros use. Ask for Sacrete at your local home improvement store. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
It's a beautiful night in Charlotte, North Carolina. The fourth and final preseason game. A familiar opponent, Pittsburgh Steelers. Fans of all ages getting ready. Plenty of Steeler fans. They're everywhere. And they're here in Charlotte tonight, but still outnumbered by the many Panther fans in attendance at Bank of America Stadium. As we send it down now to the third member of our broadcasting team for the Gatorade Herd Around the Core Report, it's Pete Yeneby.
Mike, what a big day it was Sunday. A big homecoming it was when Travell Wharton was re-signed by the club. He was a free agent after playing in Cincinnati last year. The veteran offensive lineman really provides some key depth there. Of course, Wharton grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, started at the University of South Carolina, and spent his first 8 professional seasons with the very Panthers. He had 99 starts. Ron Rivera was elated to get him back because he provides some great depth, not only at guard, but at tackle. There's a good chance he could start the opener against Seattle at left guard. For Wharton, he said, you know what, it's just so great to be back putting on the black and the blue. I might have taken that for granted, but I'm happy to be back in the Carolinas.
And we're happy to have him back. Travell Wharton, not only a great player, but Ruck, as you know, one of the better guys out there, a great guy to have in your locker room.
He is. He's a good guy on the offensive line for that room. And the one thing I really like, he's got a lot of versatility. He can play guard and tackle.
Pittsburgh won the toss, elected to defer. It'll be Panther football first. And it'll be from the 20-yard line as Armand Smith watches it sail over his head and out of the end zone. As we check in with our Miller Lite starting lineups, this is what we expect to see in week 1 against Seattle. Cam Newton, D'Angelo Williams comprising of the backfield. LaFell, the number 2, Smith, the number 1. Greg Olsen becoming one of the better tight ends in pro football. The offensive line, not been a great preseason, quite frankly, for that offensive line. A chance to shore some things up and work on the depth here tonight. Derek Anderson, not surprisingly, getting the start. We were kind of told that there was a good chance we would not see the first teamers in this game early on, including Cam Newton. Do see Brandon LaFell out there, so some first teamers out there, but Derek Anderson, the 9-year veteran out of Oregon State, will get the start tonight. And there's actually a little bit of a battle for that number 2 spot. Some people think also the Panthers might only carry 2 quarterbacks, not 3 this season. As you see the numbers on Cam Newton, he will relax, take some extra time off, and get ready for the regular season opener against Seattle in a week and a half. Poole alone back on 2nd and 8. Anderson cocks and fires, completes it, and down to the 35-yard line. That's Ted Ginn, who's been making some noise here of late, Ruck.
Well, you know, this is a job that the Panthers want to do, is to get off to a fast start. Derek Anderson, he's a vet. He just stares his guy down and unloads that pass, gets a first down, moves the stick. But one of the things the coaches have talked about all week is they know they can move the ball, but they need to punch the ball into the end zone, and that's the key that they want to work on in this first drive.
13 yards and a first. Poole remains in the backfield on 1st and 10. With time, Anderson lofts it up to Brandon LaFell, and some nifty footwork, tiptoes inbounds. It'll be a 12-yard pickup and a first down.
Well, you could tell when you have a veteran quarterback back there. He throws the ball before the receiver's even out of his break. And once again, LaFell is definitely the number 2 guy, and he continues to show why he is a very good draft pick for this organization.
You see what LaFell has done this preseason thus far. 4 catches now. As the Panthers will go to the ground game. Little tap dance effort there by Torin Poole, brought down by Jason Worlds after a short game. The Miller Lite starting defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hood and Kiesel, those are 2 guys you're familiar with, but they have really aged and had to make some changes. That linebacking core, not what it used to be. Lawrence Timmons, Lamar Woodley, a couple of familiar names. The secondary Troy Polamalu, not exactly the Pro Bowl dominating safety that he used to be. Got some young guys back there. It's a different looking Pittsburgh offense and defense. No more Hines Ward, some of the familiar names from those Super Bowl teams, as Anderson completes it at the 35 of Pittsburgh. And that's our first chance to talk about Dominic Hickson, the former New York Giant.
Great job by the offensive line. Pittsburgh Steelers, they blitz. Great pickup by the running back, which is something that you have to do as a running back. You got to be able to pick up the blitz. Great pitch and catch. Big chunk yards, and the offense is rolling.
Panthers actually one of the top teams last year in those chunk plays, 20 yards or more. And you see another one right there, and it's good to see Hickson, who has a chance to be the number 3 receiver. As we talked about at the top, that battle is very much wide open. Anderson settles, fires, Haskin, touchdown, Carolina! "35 yards for the score."
Well, a lot of defensive guys are scared of Ted Ginn Jr.'s speed, and you can see why he's a step or two in front of his defender. Derek Anderson fired up. Why? Because they took the opening drive and punched it into the end zone. No field goal, 6 points.
80 yards, and Carolina made it look easy. Gano on for the extra point. He'll tack it on, and with 12:03 to go in the first quarter, the Panthers lead at 7-0. Derek Anderson, the wily veteran. Ted Ginn says, "I'm not just a return guy. Throw me the ball." 12:03 remaining, first quarter of play from Charlotte. Carolina 7, Pittsburgh nothing. A 6-play 80-yard drive as we take a look at our North Carolina lottery keys to the game, Ruck.
Well, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're known for a physical team and their defense. Their defense was a top-rated defense in yards allowed last year with 275 yards. Can they continue what they did last year? For the Panthers, the key is running back depth. You know, who's going to be the backup to these running backs with a couple of the guys like Mike Tolbert, Jonathan Stewart hurt? Cam Tornpool or Armand Smith still a spot on this team?
That is Felix Jones, who has bounced around a bit. I feel like we've been following him. We saw Felix as an Eagle when we were in Philly. Now he's in Pittsburgh after a trade. Presented by North Carolina Educational Lottery. Tonight could be your day with the Carolina Cash 5 jackpot start at $50,000 and grow bigger fast. A look at our Belk scoring drive for Carolina. About as efficient and as smooth as it could possibly be. 7 plays, 80 yards, 2:57 off the clock. Derek Anderson was 4 for 4, 76 yards on the drive. Landry Jones, the rookie out of Oklahoma, will start things off under center for the men in black. Jones over the middle, on target, but right through the hands of Marcus Wheaton. Looks like he took a shot from Greg Hardy.
DJ Campbell on the coverage for Carolina.
And that is the call. A roughing the passer penalty on Greg Hardy. The shot on Landry Jones, and that'll give Pittsburgh 15 yards of real estate.
Target racing. So, yeah.
Greg Hardy has had a tremendous preseason thus far. Jonathan Dwyer, the deep back for the Steelers. Jones, rather play, caught, and that'll be a first down to Marcus Wheaton. They're very high on a third-round draft pick out of Oregon State. 14 yards and a first. The Northern Lights starting offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger normally operating things. Isaac Redman, the tailback. They're very high on the rookie out of Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell. He's hurt. He will not be playing in tonight's ball game. The offensive line led by the center Marquise Pouncey, the former Florida Gator. Ball at the 49. Little end around. This is Reggie Dunn. And Reggie Dunn will scamper for about 10 and a first. Greg Hardy was breathing down his neck. Ruck, I saw this kid in college. He's one of the most dynamic return guys I've ever seen.
Well, I tell you what, a little trickery play. When you got speed and you get on the edge like that, you got a lot of daylight. But you see number 76, Greg Hardy, hustling down. That's a defensive end running down a receiver all the way 10 yards downfield.
Dunn actually set the collegiate record for returns for a touchdown on special teams. On first down, Pittsburgh moving well, but not this play. And on top of everything else, Greg Hardy on the hit takes the helmet off legally from Jonathan Dwyer.
Well, he said, you got me last play, but I'll get you. You're not going to fool me on just a simple draw. And he just takes off the helmet, but gets him down. That's a great play by Hardy, not getting fooled by the draw play.
We talked to defensive coordinator Sean McDermott about Greg Hardy, just asking him what's been the difference. He said he's just had the natural progression of things. The light bulb has gone on now, nothing special that any coaches did. He's just grown into the position physically and mentally.
Becoming a veteran, right? What we call it.
On second and long, Jones off balance, and a great job of deflecting that ball at the last second by Nakamura. Otherwise, that might have been caught for a touchdown.
Well, great pressure by the Carolina defensive line, getting some pressure and making the quarterback scoot out. Little broken coverage, but that's what you do as a safety. That's your job in Nakamura. You're supposed to be over the umbrella over the defense. You're supposed to come up and help when needed, and that's a great job of knocking that ball down.
Nice job, too, by Charles Johnson, the other end, getting some pressure. As you see, Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator, what a great job he did last year, drastically improving that defense from the year before. Third down and 14. Conservative play, call it a draw play, and breaking free, diving inside the 30, and good for a first down. That is Larod Stevens-Howling, the former Arizona Cardinal.
Well, the Panthers kind of got caught shifting their defensive line a little bit late, and that created a little alley to get this ball up the field.
17 yards before being tripped up by Drayton Florence. Back to the ground. And a big hole for Jonathan Dwyer, who has lost 20 pounds in the best shape that he's been in the pros, brought down by A.J. Klein.
Well, when you get run plays like this and you have your safety come up, you got to get him quicker in the hole as fast as you can, because when you let a running back get you out in space, it's going to be hard to tackle him.
Dwyer, the deep back, on first down. They feed him. Again, off left tackle, a good hole, and then closed quickly. Nice job in pursuit by Chase Blackburn. Miller Lite starting defense for the Panthers, and you're seeing a lot of these first-teamers on the field right now. Johnson and Hardy, the ends, a great dynamic duo. They hope to have better play up the middle. Linebacking core, Davis, Kuechly, and Beeson. And the secondary, they really feel like they've got more depth in that secondary now than ever, with the additions of guys like Drayton Florence, Josh Norman coming into his own, DJ Moore, a nickelback. Secondary will be tested here on 2nd and 7. Caught, and a touchdown for Pittsburgh. 81, David Paulson, the second-year tight end out of Oregon, 13 yards and a score.
That's a good opening drive for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just using their big tight ends. They've always loved their big tight ends. You know, when you look at this replay, Chase Blackburn, he sees it, but he doesn't believe it. And all he has to do is, he's got football instincts. He's been around. He's just got to believe it and go after that ball.
Squeeze him on for the extra point. And so the Steelers have an answer for a very impressive Panthers opening drive. Pittsburgh comes right back, marches down the field behind the rookie Landry Jones. 7-7 our score with 8:16 to play. 7-7 our score, 8:16 remaining in the first quarter of play here from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Our Belk scoring drive for the Steelers, 8 plays, 80 yards, 3:47 off the clock. Paulson on a 13-yard hookup with Landry Jones. So both teams against first-team defenses marching down the field in rather impressive fashion. Drive number 2 for the Panthers will begin from the 20. And we'll take a look at that second drive when we come back from Charlotte. First drive for the Carolina Panthers, very impressive. Anderson was perfect, hitting multiple receivers, including Brandon LaFell, Dominic Hickson, and then eventually the touchdown pass to Ted Ginn. We'll see what Derek Anderson and company can do for an encore on this, the second drive. 7-7 our score, fourth and final preseason game here from Charlotte. Regular season will be a week from Sunday. The Panthers will open up against the Seattle Seahawks. On 1st and 10, play action. A jump pass and scooting out of bounds. Ted Ginn with a dusty cloud behind him after a pickup of 8 as we check in with our Krispy Kreme sweet tweets. King Strowman, one of my favorite tweeters. Let's get it done this season, fellas. Can't wait till our regular season roster is released. You won't have to wait long. Shortly after the conclusion of this game, it'll be down to 53. Rock out tonight in the last preseason game. Why not? The Panthers have a chance to finish this preseason with a winning record. Armand Smith, short pickup on the left side. The Pittsburgh Steelers actually coming into this game 0-3 in the preseason. Did you ever have an 0-fer in the preseason, Ruck?
I can't remember if we have, but I can tell you what, that's not good. When you want preseason, you want to get a good start to the season, and starting 0-3 is not very good.
It's a third down and short. And the Panthers will throw. How about a deep ball? Ginn comes back to the ball. A lot of contact down the far sideline. He got tangled up with Cortez Allen. No penalty flag and no completion.
Well, when you hear people talk about Ted Ginn, they give him the respect for his speed. And he said, Coach said that sometimes they'll get up and they'll try to press him, but a lot of times they'll stay off of him because they're scared of his speed. But he went up for the top of the ball and almost came down with that one-handed catch. You see Derek Anderson like, man, I could have that one back.
Nortman on the punt. Booms this one. They travel a long ways all the way to the 20-yard line. 8-yard return out of bounds by Brown. And it will be Steeler football when we return after a word from your local Panther station.
It's a 7-7 game in the first quarter. Pete Ganity back with you. Now, granted, the fourth preseason game is one in which a lot of players on the field tonight will not stick on the team's regular season roster. But Ron Rivera was telling us, interesting story yesterday, he has seen guys in that fourth game actually make the roster off of their performance. An example of that, last year offensive lineman Jeff Byers. He was a guy they were thinking going to that fourth game was not going to survive the final cut, but he did, and he played some valuable snaps for the team. And Rivera has seen that in various other stops in his career.
And that's a prime example of why this fourth game is important for a few out there. So you got to make the best of this opportunity and turn the heads of some coaches and make them look at you.
Jones going deep on first down and knocked away at the last second. Good coverage by Josh Norman, who continues to impress in this preseason.
Well, this is two guys going at it speed for speed. You know, the receiver gets a little in front of Josh, but he makes up the ground. He has long, lanky arms. He just gets that hand in there and knocks the ball away at the last minute. That is just good coaching. At the last minute, he turns his head back, finds the ball, and gets his hand in there.
Now, Ron Rivera told us with Josh Norman, it's not a matter of the physical ability. It's a matter of everybody on that defense being able to trust him that he's going to be at the right place at the right time. He continues to learn this defense. Short dump ball pass caught by Paulson. Stopped by DJ Moore. Bud Light scoreboard as we go around the league. It's a busy night in the NFL. The final night for preseason games. Cincinnati leading Indianapolis 10-3 in the second. Detroit blanking Buffalo. Detroit, the new home of one Reggie Bush. The hapless Jets against the Michael Vick Philadelphia Eagles. Jaguars up on the division rival Atlanta 7-0. Check in with those throughout the night. On 3rd and 6, heavy pursuit. Jones, not much of a runner, and has to just throw it away. And it's not Landry Jones's game, and he had all kinds of pressure coming from that Panthers front four. I think Josh Norman was also tracking him down.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Josh Norman this preseason. You could see the light bulb has come on for him. He has grown up, and he's playing special teams. I mean, he's finding a way to get involved in the secondary, and he's coming up and pressuring the quarterback.
Vanderbilt Commodore DJ Moore back to receive the punt. Did not call for a fair catch. Dangerous decision there. And he weaves his way for a couple out to the 31-yard line. 7-7, our score.
We are back 7-7. Action-packed first quarter here at Bank of America Stadium. And here's how we got there. Derek Anderson 4 for 4 in his first drive. 35 yards to Ted Ginn, who got by Brown. And then it's Landry Jones 13 yards to Paulson at tight end. And that gets you caught up where you are. 7-7 as Anderson goes back to work here against some young Steelers who are looking to make impressions. We see Worlds. We see Hayward, McClendon on that defensive line. A lot of guys in the secondary who need to make plays here tonight to make sure they're on this roster moving forward. Anderson slings it out. And this one goes to Hickson. Again, it's Cortez Allen on the coverage.
Trying to fool Cortez over there at left corner. Trying to run him off, get him a little bit deeper, get the ball in the receiver's hands a little early so they can make a play. But Cortez not having much of that.
Cortez Allen is really, you know, it takes a lot, because if you look at Keenan Lewis, how good he was, and the Steelers basically pretty much said, hey, we like what we see with Cortez Allen. A lot of teams would have signed Keenan Lewis, right. And I know he was expected to be signed at one point, but they trust their judgment on players. Here's Anderson again. Underneath, sets up a screen, and it's incomplete. He had some blockers on the play, but there was miscommunication there by Armand Smith. And it falls incomplete. All right, Will Johnson has an injury, has left this game. Jeff Brazell on the sideline. What's the latest, JB?
Yeah, likely one of the reasons Coach Tomlin held out many of his starters tonight is the reason that Will Johnson's not going to return. He injured his right hamstring. I'm told he is out for the rest of the game, Bob.
Will Johnson has served a nice role on this team. He's one of the guys out of the backfield. When he lines up, he's very effective on third down making pass catches, Edmund, and we've seen that a lot in this preseason.
Good blocker, good receiver, good all-around guy to have back there. Has some versatility. He can play close to the line of scrimmage as well.
And there's an attempt right there. The falls incomplete to Brenton Burson out of Wofford College, who's in the game. Undrafted last year. They like his speed, but he's not going to make this roster in all likelihood. But that was not a good pass, not a good route, and it results in a 4th down and 5, and Carolina will punt the ball away.
And after 2 high-profile, high-prolific drives, now we settled into a defensive battle. Who knew?
How about Ike Taylor's on the field in special teams coverage? Down below, number 24. That's interesting. You would hate to see somebody like that get injured.
He'll be there during the regular season as well, Bob.
I understand that, but it's kind of risky, and the punt is called back as we had a whistle. Ian Shamarko Thomas.
False start. Offense, number 40. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Shamarko out of Syracuse. He's had a good camp, and he's learning a lot. Like we said, he's kind of been a sponge. Last year, his final year, at 102 tackles. Ike Taylor giving him a lot of advice, as is Polamalu and Clark. A lot of experience back there, and he's trying to absorb as much of it as he can.
Doesn't have to absorb being a big hitter, because he can certainly bring it when he needs to.
All right, Justin Brown again is deep, and this is a shorter kick. He calls for a fair catch at the 22-yard line, and he will make it, although he seemed to have some real estate there and a chance for a return. He instead chooses the cautious route, and the Steelers will go to work at about the 23-yard line.
Looks like number 47, Brian Rolls, shaking up a little bit on that return, walking very gingerly back to the bench.
There you see Will Johnson. As I said, he's become one of Todd Haley's favorite in terms of utilizing him in the role he has. It's not a big role, but it's a role that can be effective, especially when you least expect it. Derek Moore, number 14, bottom of your screen, checks into the game. Had a good game last week trying to make this roster. Dwyer with some nice blocking up the middle. Gets a good chunk of yardage, about 7 yards on that play before he's finally dragged down, but not before good opening on the offensive line.
Backups trying to do a little something at the point of attack. Dwyer, hole was so big, hesitated a little bit and just got in there and lowered his shoulders. Now you have to think twice about tackling Dwyer, 240 pounds or so coming at you with the pads nice and low and a full head of steam.
Well, Lucky at center, Wimper at right guard as they continue to play those positions. Hand off again. Dwyer trying to get to the outside, trying to get your yardage. He does. First down before he's eventually ripped down there by Josh Norman out of Coastal Carolina, but the Steelers will move the chains.
That's exactly what you want to see about from Dwyer. Now, my question to you is, Bob, you know, Dwyer has gotten a lot of work this preseason. There's no question that he's ready for game action. What do you do game one when you maybe have Isaac Redmond at full speed? Do you now limit Dwyer's carries, or do you let him continue with a little bit of success that he has so far?
Well, it is, and it all depends on that stinger and just how severe it is. Here's Dwyer again, skipping away. Ball comes out, however, and the Steelers apparently look like they have it. But Dwyer was heading down. I don't know if that ground caused the fumble. It did not look like it was a live football, but they do recover.
Just before that carry, Dwyer 5 for 24. So make it 6 for about 28 or so. And this is one of the things that keeps him on the bench right here. You have to hold on to the football, and you don't have to do it so much when you're fresh. It's easy to hold on to that, but when you have a couple of carries, well, that's a fumble right there too. That ball was live. That ball was out.
All right, this time delayed handoff, and it's going nowhere. But Stevens Howling gets rid. Now he's down, but they had initial pursuit of the line of scrimmage right there. Jordan Senn was one of the men in there, and he had nowhere to go.
Stevens Howling doing the right thing, getting on the ground as soon as possible. Almost broke it. Looked like he had a little daylight out to the right side, but decided to get on the ground. But back to Dwyer, especially when you're tired. You know, he's been known to not be in the best of shape at times and look to the sidelines, try to get out of the game. You can't always play when you're fresh. You have to play when you're tired, and you have to hang on to the football.
3rd down and 12. They're going for the quick here to DeMarcus Wheaton, trying to follow his blocking down the field. Wheaton gets to the 45, but that's going to be a little bit short of 1st down yardage before Klein drags him down by his ankles. Nice design on that play. It just did not get the necessary 12 yards.
Very safe play, the little bubble screen to the outside. He's got some big boys in front of him, and now he's trying to say, look, guys, get out of the way. I'm trying to get to the marker. Well designed, very safe. Got a lot of yardage, and now they're in good position to change the field position game at this point in the game.
Talib Akarara is back deep.
Well done.
Say excuse me.
Well played.
Akarara. I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but if so, you got to get a little pronunciation, guys, for some of these guys. This one goes in and out of the end zone. Brown was back there, and it looks like there's a penalty flag on that play.
Brian Mormon kicked that ball at least 65 yards in the air. Unbelievable leg he has.
Maybe not. Well, they picked it up. They had it down, and they picked it up. So Carolina goes back to work on offense now. 7-7, 2 quick scores in this game, and things have settled down now. Ted Ginn, number 19, on the field again. He was the man who had the 35-yard reception earlier from Derek Anderson. This time, inside handoff. Burn bouncing to the outside, and the ball comes out. Ginn picks it up on the hop, and he's knocked out of bounds. And he looked like he got 1st down yardage along the way. Talk about a nice bounce right into the waiting hands of Ginn. And the Panthers will get a 1st down, or at least close to it.
And that's why you have to continue playing football. You never know when the big play is going to happen. Fighting for extra yardage, and then the fumble right there. Ball is out. Somebody with a black shirt get on the ball again. Very fortuitous to pick that one up, and then got the 1st down. Very fortunate for the Carolina offense.
Looked like Robert Golden, number 21, came in there and got his hand in there. Not sure exactly if that was the case or not, but it came loose and it bounced right to Ginn. So they retain possession now. Anderson drops straight back. Has time. Looks over the field and underthrows. Dominic Hickson with Brown in coverage.
Intended for Grayson and Dominic Hickson.
Curtis Brown in possession there.
All right, remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you want a replay of tonight's game, the encore broadcast on Pittsburgh CW. Actually, Saturday night, not tomorrow. Let's make a correction there. It's Saturday night on Pittsburgh CW. Anderson started this game 4 for 4. He is since 2 for 6. This time again, it's Poole trying to get to the outside, and Brown eventually wrestles him down. Marshall McFadden had him in the background there, couldn't wrestle him down. Poole slips away with that.
What you're going to see tonight, folks, is you're going to see guys playing special teams as well as defense, and they're going to play till their tongues hang on the ground, because that's just the way it is. You're not going to see the starters come in there and get a whole lot of reps. So these guys are going to be playing a little bit both ways, in that they're going to be playing special teams and also getting their chances on offense and defense to get their licks in. And that's very, very important for these young linebackers. Who are going to be very important to be viable backups and special teams players.
Once again, it's Poole bouncing to the outside. Chasing is Cortez Allen, and finally coming up and making the play there is Robert Golden, who's been a very active member of that safety position on the field tonight. Caused a fumble, makes some tackles, opening eyes.
Robert Golden coming up and getting him up high. Get on the ground. Rodeo calf rope right there, Bob.
We have reached the end of the first quarter from Carolina. The Steelers and Carolina Panthers are deadlocked at 7. In Carolina, Bob Pompiani, Edmund Nelson, Jeff Frizella, 7-7. Anderson to Ted Ginn, 35 yards, put him up 7-zip. Steelers came right back on an 80-yard drive, engineered by Landry Jones as he combines 13 yards out to David Paulson, and that's where we are. Up the middle, not much running room there for Armand Smith, as the Steelers settle out of that defensive line. Very good job. You see Fangupo in there for the first time tonight, Edmund.
Against Hayworth Hicks. Hayworth Hicks, I just saw him walking to the sidelines, Bob, and he looks like one of the 3 biggest human beings I've ever seen in my life. And Fangupo, for him to hold his point at the line of scrimmage with that big Jamoke coming off and double teaming.
He is a big dude.
Oh, that's a big old boy. My goodness. I don't remember him being that big 25 years ago or so.
Well, things have happened genetically. People are eating better food, getting bigger, whatever the case may be. There's a completion. There's Anderson, puts it right on the money, and it's picked up by Dominic Hickson, who was kind of on the bubble coming in. Cortez Allen makes the play, but Hickson, the longtime member of the New York Giants, looking to latch on here.
Very established receiver, been around, and this is what's so tough about the fade stop. You don't know when it's coming. Nobody yells out. You can't hear it. You're on an island. The receiver is running full speed, and you have to anticipate when that ball is coming. Look how tough this is. You're running with your back to the quarterback. You don't know when the ball is coming, and yet the receiver does. The fade stop, very difficult to defend.
Anderson in the shotgun now. Chris Carter trying to get to the quarterback, cannot do so. They fire over the middle. That was a high pass, and it was intended for Brenton Burson, and he was up there hanging out. And it could have been a collision had that ball been closer.
It's good that you pointed that out, Bob, because you could see Cromartie Smith with a little bit of hesitation as to where he was going to hit the receiver. That's one of those shots. Your quarterback has laid you out, and the NFL is not going to tolerate any shots to the head or neck area. Watch this, right over the top. Cromartie Smith just says, oh, I'm not going to hit. Look at him. He's fully extended. He would have cut him in half right there with a good blow, and yet he decided not to do it. That's a very, very smart play by Cromartie Smith.
Yeah, the message has been delivered to players, and there was a big settlement today, which we'll tell you more about. Here's Anderson rolling away from pressure. He just slides now close to first down yardage before he gets hit. But this was the day that the league and its players, veteran players out of the league now, settled that lawsuit for $765 million. We'll talk more about that in a second.
Watch Armfield come in here, gets a shot, gets blocked on him, but gets a shot at the quarterback. Quarterback spins out. Anderson doing a nice job evading the tackle and getting shot. Watch that block. Look at that. Wow, I was almost a tackle.
Almost a
arm
hold.
around the waist. What kind of block was that?
Derek Anderson out of Oregon State. Originally was a 6th-round pick of the Ravens. Spent time with Cleveland. The only time he made a Pro Bowl was with Cleveland. Went to Arizona, looking for a home here to back up Cam Newton and Jimmy Clausen. We'll see him later. And typically, the Carolina Panthers do not keep more than 2. We'll see. Plus, their new GM from the Giants, Gettleman, likes 2. They've only used 2 with the Giants with Manning and David Carr. So you would think that Jimmy Clausen night or his stint here in Carolina may be over, depending on how they appraise their roster.
There was some stuff in the paper today about that same thing, that this could be Jimmy Clausen's last game in the NFL. Let's see how much of a shot he gets, if it has to be in the second half, and what he proves to show. But Cam Newton is a pretty durable guy, at least thus far in his career.
Anderson drops straight back now. Lots of time. Rolling left, surveying the field, and has his man who got away from coverage right there, Brenton Burson, and that's going to set up a 1st-and-goal situation. Marty Smith was over there, but late. But again, no pressure allowed that to happen.
Yeah, you can't lose contain right there on field coming inside. No one coming off the right outside. Clausen just scrambles over there, finds a soft spot, and it's very tough to defend when your quarterback can run free. The zone is there. You're expecting somebody to be in Clausen's face. No one was there. And Marty Smith actually with a pretty good play to come up and make the stop where he did.
Richie Brokeal is out far left now. He's kind of one of those hybrid players. He's in motion. Could also block from that position, and they're going to give it to Armand Smith right up the middle. Spins away and gets close to the goal line. Armand Smith out of Union College in Kentucky. Member of the practice squad last year, trying to get the regular squad this year.
A little bit too much right there. You know this is goal line and short yardage. You got to get it going down here. Get the pads low, root some guys out. Carolina doing a very nice job up front. Listen to this hit. Gotta love it when the pads pop.
This is where you put the puppies on the porch and the big dogs want to eat. All the big beefy guys are in there. Smith follows him. Is he into the end zone? No signal yet. No signal yet. They're trying to find out where that ball is.
Looked like there was one signal.
Now the officials talk to one another. It looks like it's going to be marked short.
Let's see if we can see anything right here. He gets up in the air. Really hard to tell from that angle if you had something right down the line of scrimmage maybe, but here it is right here, folks. Let's see if he can break the plane. Body's flying all over everything.
Who's airborne over there?
And he's not close right there. Does he get it on a second surge? The ball gets in there. You see that? If his knee wasn't down.
But his knee was down, it looked like. I'd have to take a look at that one again.
Yeah, good work in the truck there, guys. That was an excellent replay, that last one. Maybe they're challenging.
Carolina is challenging the ruling on the field.
Got to watch his knee after the hit, and we'll take a look when we come back. Stick around. We'll find out what the call will be at Carolina. He needs a reversal. What do you think, Edmund?
Mike Tomlin thinks that it was a good goal line play, but we're going to get a good shot of it here, Bob. We need to determine whether the Smith's knee was down or not. The first surge isn't going to get it, but take a look at it right here. Body's flying. Everybody goes up in the air. Smith comes up. That's not a touchdown right there, but let's see.
Stands. Carolina will be charged with a timeout.
Yeah. Because he got knocked backwards, there was contact. If his knee's down, then that's where it is.
And his knee must have been down on the second surge.
So Carolina is charged with a timeout. Good call, stands, and it sets up a 3rd down and goal now. Good work by the Steelers. Guys are flying through the air there and letting it all hang out. Same setup, Armand Smith. Brokeal is ahead of him as the fullback here. Smith trying to go laterally, not going to do it. Marty Smith and others are there. Alamea Teamu, Al Woods, all kinds of black jerseys, and the Steelers are going to hold on 3rd down.
And time, it looks like the Panthers are going to go ahead and take the field goal. Very nice job down there. The big guys up front rooting it out. Watch this at the point of attack. All nice by Arnfelt. Beautiful technique. Nice and low. Hands inside. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to run. And then the extracurricular activity, which is always nice down on the goal line.
Dick LeBeau really liked that. Watch him on the sidelines. You didn't see it, but he was. That kind of stuff brings a smile to the face of the defensive coordinator. You want to see young guys do that. And now it forces Graham Gano to come on and attempt the field goal, which is good. So Carolina does take the lead, but they do not score a touchdown. There it is again. Steelers stacking up the wall at the goal line. We're back right after this. Graham Gano 19-yard field goal has Carolina up 10-7. Mom is a comedy starring Anna Faris as a newly sober single mom raising 2 kids. Multiple Emmy Award winner Allison Janney is her critical estranged mother. And don't miss Mom coming up Mondays at 9:30 this fall on KDK and CBS. Back deep for the Steelers now will be LaRod Stevens-Howling, who has had 3 career kickoff returns for touchdowns with Arizona. Impressive, Edmund, because it was first and goal from the 6. 3 rushes later, only a few yards allowed, the Steelers stiffen up. Very good job.
Guys doing a nice job making sure that there was no penetration along that defensive line.
Tonight's Steeler game is brought to you in high definition in partnership with Xfinity, the future of awesome. Steelers look to do something awesome right now on offense. Trailing 10-7. Landry Jones was really good in the first drive, and since then he's been under a little bit of pressure, but he still has shown the elusive ability, which is good to see. Felix Jones now in the backfield, looking more for number 23 to get some ball carries here tonight. Jones, however, will pass, slings it up to Marcus Wheaton, who bobbled that ball out of bounds. It goes incomplete.
And Wheaton's had a couple of prospective receptions that have gone bad right here. If he just grabs onto this one, this is a very good throw to the outside. Grab it, catch it, get the feet in. He was bobbling it. He does come down with it, but it's a little too late. He's already out of bounds. He needs to be a little more sure-handed than that. Getting a lot more reps tonight.
Yeah, Wheaton's not one of his better games in the preseason so far, but still, he's been very impressive overall in this camp, and they expect big things from him with his route running. Here's a nice cutback around there by Felix Jones, but he runs right into a linebacker there, takes him down pretty quickly. But that looked like a promising play at the very start with the cutback, and then he ran into some trouble.
And not a bad run. It's a 5-yard run there, Bob. So he gets up into the hole, needed to know that he was going to have contact in traffic, get his pads a little bit lower, but Jones doing a nice job. Good 5-yard run there.
Third down play. Stevens-Howling rechecks himself into the game.
This may be where you see a lot of him, Bob, in this kind of situation.
This is what they brought him here for. There's no question about that. Jones is pretty good at that as well during his days at Dallas. Landry Jones now evades pressure, rolls right, finds his man on the run. Derek Moore out of Rochester and Penn State makes the reception. What a good job of ad-libbing by Landry Jones to Derek Moore. Move the chains. First down Steelers.
Moore had a good game last week, another good game this week. LaRod Stevens-Howling, by the way, was wide open on the circle route to the left. A lot of work here to achieve the same thing. Moore showing you why he was such a good cat up at Penn State.
And he's big too, Edmund. He's 6'5", so he can go up and do the leap.
He has some hops,
yeah.
No question.
And last week there was a play against Kennard Cox, who I thought it was more of a bad throw than it was an indictment of him not coming down with the ball. Anyway, handoff goes to Jones, stiff arm, trying to get outside, gets to the outside. Good hard running there. Before it was Klein and Norman who drag him out of bounds. We do have a flag on that play.
Looked like somebody grabbed his face mask when they were trying to get him down, but I don't see a flag at this point. Coming right into your living room there. A little bit of a face mask there. I thought I saw his head come down.
They picked it up again. All right, second down now for the Steelers, operating in Carolina territory and trailing. Here comes the pressure right up the middle. The blitz but the Steelers still get 3 yards. Jordan Sen was blitzing on the play, never got to the ball carrier. He was going after the quarterback. The Steelers called a run play, and it got a couple of yards.
And yet he needed to be picked up. I think what he did was impede where Jones really wanted to go, which was the cutback. So Jones had to find his way right up the middle. You have to pick that up, whether it be pass or run, to make sure that a guy like Sen cannot make that play in the backfield. Have to keep your eyes open to control the blitz.
3rd down, 6 now for Jones, operating in the shotgun. Ball is batted down there as he was trying to go to the outside, and instead it was Frank Alexander, 4th-round pick from last year, the big guy out of Oklahoma, who knocks down another Oklahoma teammate once on the pass.
Not bad protection, a little bit of pressure up the middle. Beecham doing a nice job there to the outside, but right there you have to find a lane to throw the football. The lane was not there. Big number 90, Frank Alexander, getting those hands up, batting that one away.
Ikaru is back deep once again, and he'll take this punt here by Drew Butler. Butler trying to get a high hanger and pin this team down. A fair catch is called for at about the 13-yard line. Job well done by Butler. Field position, advantage Steelers. 10-7, Carolina has the lead. 6 minutes plus left, 2nd quarter from Bank of America Stadium. We're back. It's 10-7. Carolina has the lead. Hey, I want to remind you about a good show on Pittsburgh CW. Tomorrow, people. Stevenson Jameson stands at the crossroads between the world we know and the future when he meets the tomorrow people. A genetically advanced rare race featuring telekinesis, teleportation, and telepathy. The tomorrow people. Tell everyone about it. Wednesdays at 9. Pittsburgh CW. All right, nice punt by Butler. Has Carolina back at their own 12-yard line, protecting a 3-point lead. The auditions continue here, both sides of the football. Anderson goes to Ginn. Marshall McFadden there to make that play for a short gainer close to the 18-yard line.
As good as a run. They seem to be featuring Ted Ginn, get him some receptions before he gets to the regular season. You know Smith is going to garner most of those receptions coming from Cam Newton, but a guy like Ginn could find a way to get some usefulness in there, especially with his great speed.
Well, Steve Smith, what can you say about him at 34? Still the all-time franchise leader with 71 touchdowns, 21 more than Muhsin Muhammad had back in the day. Handoff here, Teron Poole up the middle, gets close to 1st down yardage. He'll be marked a little bit short. Again, McFadden and Jason Worlds in on a play. And yeah, you know, a guy like Ginn, he gives you an opportunity to go deep. One of those guys who can stretch the field, and Steve Smith works underneath. He can do so many things.
Steve Smith seems like he's been here for 25 years.
It really does.
That guy just, he makes play after play. I remember when he got into that scuffle and just beat one of those defensive backs on his own team to within an inch of his life. Guy was out for a couple of weeks, poor guy. Tangled with the wrong Smith.
One of only 28 players to go over 11,000 receiving yards. Cool now. Penalty flags fly everywhere. He does get 1st down yardage, but this may be coming back.
There were 2 or 3 flags flying at the same time. Looked like it could be holding.
Holding. Offense, number 86. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
It's Brandon Williams, a tight end out of Oregon. He's a pretty fascinating story.
Had a piece of Jason Worlds, I believe. Look at it right there on the outside of the screen. Jason was releasing to come to the football and just got drugged down. That was a very easy call. Flags came in from everybody. I think they were falling from the sky.
Brandon Williams, that 86, is known as an excellent blocker. He grew up playing basketball, and he's one of these guys who can slam the basketball, I mean, with intensity. Played 1 year at Oregon, broke his hand. Later had a back injury, complicated everything. They shut him down. He graduated. He went on to Portland to become a police officer. And then they had a tryout situation and located his talents. Here's a wide open play and another touchdown coming up for the Panthers. Teddy Ginn burns the Steelers secondary, and that's why they brought him here. Ted Ginn, his 2nd touchdown of the night. That one, 87 yards.
Not even close, showing the separation speed as he accelerated beyond coverage. Golden back there trying to get a piece, but just throw it out there far enough, let him run underneath it. And this is where speed kills, folks. Just outrunning everybody. Cromartie Smith, no chance. A man with Ginn speed right down the middle. Just throw it out over the middle. And he is just wide open. Ran right by Cromartie Smith. Golden, I don't quite know.
Well, that was Curtis Brown, too. I'm not sure whose coverage or responsibility that was, but everyone was behind the play. Getting out 5 catches, 149s, 2 touchdowns on this night. And you remember him since 2007, almost 7,000 combined return yards. That's 4th in the NFL behind Cribbs, Sproles, Leon Washington. That's pretty elite company, Edmund, when it comes to speed. Derek Anderson likes having Ted Ginn on his roster. They're up now by 10. 3 plays, 88 yards, Edmund. Offensive coordinators like Mike Shula love that.
Oh, just get back there and heave it, basically. No pressure in his face. Any NFL quarterback can do that. And let's see, you have Golden in a trailing position, and Cromartie Smith just cannot handle
Curtis Brown, it looked like, was the
Was that Curtis
DB.
Brown back there, Brian?
Yeah. Steelers now trying to get some field position here, but that's 3 plays, 88 yards. Only took a minute 52, and you know, Mike Shula was promoted internally when Rob Chudzinski became the head coach of Cleveland, and Shula likes Ginn. There's no question about that. In fact, originally it was Ginn with Miami. Back in the day, he was drafted there.
One thing we know Shula likes, he's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. He's certainly going to do that. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing when they get into the regular season. They've been struggling with their offense to date, not so much tonight.
All right, now it's time to check out the PNC scoreboard. Scores from around football as well as baseball, and the Brewers have a lead on the Pirates tonight, awaiting a big series with St. Louis. Marlon Byrd with a big home run last night. Brewers up behind Evgeny Gallardo, who's always been tough. More scores coming up on the PNC scoreboard for the achiever in you. Landry Jones trying to achieve more. Last time he had a big connection, 32 yards to Moy, and he goes to Moy again, trying to break tackles there, and DJ Moore and Melvin White almost got victimized by Moy, who I think has taken a step up on the rest of the competition.
You know, Moy has deceptive speed and very sure hands. Look at him, he presses the coverage and it cuts to the inside, and it just loses everybody. Wide open coming across the middle, a little bit of a move there. Very sure-handed and a very long receiver, very lengthy.
No question about that. He was undrafted by the Miami Dolphins, went to their camp after being a 3-year starter at Penn State. And as I mentioned in our last broadcast, that was a gain of 23 yards. He was the WPIAL Player of the Year in 2005, and a good kid, really a good kid from the Beaver County, and hopefully he'll latch on. I mean, he and Brown are both in a battle here along with Dunn.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need to do in a preseason game, is show your mettle, show that you can get open.
DJ Campbell down. He's a 7th-round pick last year. Hurts his leg. Good to see him up. Now we have more scores from the PNC scoreboard. Taking a look at the AFC North. Bengals. Boy, they're going to be a lot to handle this year. 17-3 if that offense continues to develop. The Browns. Well, Rob Chudzinski's got his work cut out for him. Last year's offensive coordinator here, now the head coach there. And the Ravens taking on the Rams 7-3 early in that game. All right, Landry Jones now. 5 of 10, 74 yards and 1 touchdown. And of course that last one, 32 yards to Moy, another 23 yards to Moy. This is Felix Jones weaving his way to first down yardage.
Defense expecting a pass there, and it opens up for Jones. A little sprint draw action, finds the open hole, a little bobbing and weaving right up the gut. Felix Jones, I like to see him hang on around here, not to the detriment of anybody, but you just like to see a guy of that talent. Remember, he was a first-round draft choice. This guy was very much sought after. Had a great college career.
Same year as Rashard Mendenhall and Chris Johnson. Up the middle comes Fiore, and he put pressure on. They try to get it over to Felix Jones, and just out of his reach. But big number 94, Sione Fua, coming up the middle.
Felix Jones needed to make that adjustment. The quarterback was hurried trying to get the ball out there. Felix Jones needs to understand in this pass defense, he is the safety valve, so he's looking for it. But make the adjustment, slow down a little bit, make sure you catch that ball, because if you get a chance to get your hands on it, now you can turn that thing up the full-out blitz was coming from that side, he had an opportunity to get some yardage there.
2nd and 10 for Landry Jones now. 3 wides in this game, and they hand off here again. Jones makes a quick cutter. Jones across the 40 to 38-yard line. And I'm trying to resist saying Felix quick as a cat, Jones, but sometimes you got to say it when you watch his footwork, and you see why. You know, he had success in college and why he was a #1 pick for Cowboys.
Very fitting. Watch his feet here, folks. Little cut back there, cut again up the middle. Another cut right there at the end, and then drags the tackler. That's a good solid 7-yard gain for Felix Jones. Doing a nice job right up the middle.
LaRod Stevens-Howling in the game again. Handoff on 3rd down, and we have a penalty. And it looks like a game potentially
offside.
Yeah. False start. Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Calvin Beachum.
Relatively clean with the penalties thus far for the offense. That one unnecessary, trying to catch him off guard. A little bit of a quick count. You have to be ready, have to be very patient in your stance as an offensive lineman. Creates a whole different situation. You go from 3rd and short, running to 3rd and long, 3rd and 8 or so, and now you have to pass this guy.
Jones is still very poised tonight at quarterback here. Again, showing his skill, moving to the right, finding actually in and out of the hands of Justin Brown. Falls incomplete, and the Steelers are going to have to punt this one away.
That's a drive killer, Bob, and that's what Mike Tomlin has been talking about all training camp long. You can see the little penalties that stop drives. You get in a 3rd and long situation, and now you get the incompletion. And even if that ball had been completed, Justin Brown did not have enough yardage for the 1st down. As a veteran would have run that route to get right on the sticks, make sure he had the 1st down. It's a young guy mistake.
All right, Drew Butler in to kick again. He did a good job the last time, pinning them down into their 13-yard line. This was even better inside the 10 as Talib Ikharu makes the fair catch, and that's where Carolina go to work. That's going to be a tough call to make. Drew Butler, Brian Moorman, both have looked really good, and that's why they're both still kicking here in the final game, because I don't think that decision has yet been made.
Well, you saw Brian Moorman in earlier, and now when you get the kicks to try to get it inside the 20, you see Butler in. So I think you're starting to see the decision made right before your eyes, in that Butler has come in the key situations and try to back the Carolina Panthers up, although to date doesn't seem like backing them up has anything to do with stopping him, does it?
87-yard touchdown last time from Derek Anderson. He's now out of the game. Jimmy Clausen, his last opportunity to show Ron Rivera and Mike Shula that he can make this roster, should be on this roster. Smith to the outside, not much doing there. Jimmy Clausen has not thrown a pass in a game here since 2010. He was a 2nd-round pick out of Notre Dame. High hopes. You might remember in his first year, he got in and he was 1-9 as a starter in 2010. And this is where they had all kinds of problems in Carolina, but hasn't played since. We have reached the 2-minute warning now, as the Steelers would like to get the ball back, get some field position, and try to get on the board before halftime. Right now, they trail. 17-7 is the score. Steelers down 10, 2 minutes left first half. Carolina pinned back deep in their own territory. Bob Pompiani, Edmund Nelson, Jeff Rosella with you as we get closer to the start of the regular season. September the 8th for the Steelers. It actually kicks off Thursday the 5th with the NFL opener between Denver and Baltimore, and a big flag out there regarding Flacco. We'll talk about that, Edmund. Your take on that one. Banners everywhere in downtown Denver around that stadium, mile high. Smith now, nice defensive play by the Steelers. Vince Williams in there, and Keon Wilson both combine on that. 2 linebackers looking to make this roster.
Both of the guys having very good camps. A couple of good preseason games. Watch, a little dancing in the backfield, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom! The nice strike, rising blow. Vince Williams coming in there. Look at him coming from the left linebacker position, inside linebacker position. Kind of just meanders over there.
Please reset the game clock to 1 minute and 54 seconds.
Yeah, Steelers want to conserve as much time as possible.
Thank you.
3rd down now for Carolina.
The young linebackers in the game. Now, you know, the only 2 outside linebackers that they have at this point are both in the game, Chris Carter and Alan Baxter. The Willies didn't play tonight. Jason Rhodes got a couple of snaps tonight. Jarvis Jones out, of course, making sure he's ready for the regular season. So these young guys have a lot to prove to Dick LeBeau and also to Danny Smith trying to make this team on either special teams or as a backup.
Clausen now, big third down, pressure from the outside, Alan Baxter, and the pressure results in a loss right there as Chris Carter comes up and stops Tyron Poole, and the Steelers should get it back now with nice field position. Good pressure up front by Baxter, the linebacker.
Baxter doing a nice job. Brian Armfelt.
Pittsburgh, their second timeout, 32nd timeout.
Big number 69, Brian Armfelt, also read that very well and was in hot pursuit, doing a nice job. Brian Armfelt has had a very good camp, very solid. He's not the biggest guy, not the strongest guy, but he works extremely hard, has not gotten down on himself. You know, there are a lot of guys that are playing in front of him on that defensive line, first and second round draft choices, and yet he's found a way to make his mark and might be one of those guys you maybe keep around if he can clear waivers and get on the practice squad.
Reggie Dunn, number 13, licking his chops. Wants an opportunity here as Brad Nortman is punting from his own goal line. We'll see if number 13, that could be lucky 13 here. He takes it with plenty of room to operate. He's got 4.2 speed, but he has nowhere to go up the middle as the blocking breaks down, and Carolina special teams stop him as he gets into their territory at the 45-yard line.
If you have 4.2 speed, then you want to put yourself in position to use that 4.2 speed. One of the things that we've seen from Antonio Brown is when he catches something like that, he catches it on the run, full speed, no dancing around, pick a hole, make somebody miss, and get on it. And Dunn right there kind of just shuffling his feet a little bit, running right into the coverage. Needed to find a seam very quickly in that regard.
Steelers down 10. It's been Landry Jones all game long so far. He has a touchdown pass to David Paulson. Looked pretty good on a couple of catches to Moy. In the pocket now, underneath. Puts it right there. And look at Paulson hurdling a defender. The big boy. That goes up top. And he makes an extra yard as a result. And that was Robert Lester who said, huh? Where am I?
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
Now in the flat, trying to get it out to Laroste Howling, and it was incomplete. Let's go back to that one, Edmund. I'm sure you're going to have fun with this.
Oh, yeah, he really thought that he had something going. This is nice completion there. What, gets away from the first tackle, and oh, the hurdle! The hurdle has been broken out in game 4 of the preseason, folks.
How about that? Look at the athletic ability of the big tight end, 6'4", 250.
Had to put a measurement on that vertical leap right there. Second swing pass that Landry Jones has missed. Needs to be a little more patient with the throw on that.
Good point. Now again, this time going down the sidelines, puts it a little bit out of the reach there of Larod Stephen Howling, who was in a match there with linebacker A.J. Klein, and he had a step, but the ball was overthrown.
That goes back to that drill we talked about early in the season, Bob, where the quarterbacks are throwing into a trash can, trying to throw the ball into a trash can from 25, 30 yards. Same type of route, and that's the route that they're trying to hit when they do that drill. Drop back 3 steps, 5 steps, whatever, and throw it to a point, trying to let the receiver run underneath it. Throw it in the trash can.
Third down now for Landry Jones. Steelers down by 10, looking to cut into that Carolina lead. Here comes pressure. It's picked up, and the pass is complete again. It's Paulson, who is real close to the sticks right there. And it was Jordan Send on coverage. They are going to move the chains, and Paulson does a nice job of getting to the sticks, making the catch, and moving it downfield.
It's a very veteran move right there, and a great catch. Using his body to fend off the receiver.
Jones now, again over the middle this time. It's Justin Brown. He gets a couple of yards down to the 15-yard line. Clock continues to run with 35 and counting.
Lots of time. Landry Jones does not need to get impatient right here. Very patient.
Jones now, again. It's Larod Stevens Howland, and he gets to the 9-yard line before it's DJ Moore who gets him there. And now the Steelers are going to call a timeout, it looks like.
If there was any way, I know Landry Jones was under duress, but if there was any way.
Pittsburgh, this is their third and final timeout. 30-second timeout.
That he could have gotten that ball to Larod Stevens Howling while Stevens Howling was on the run. That would have been a touchdown. Watch this, he had to kind of stop, gather himself and get it, and then right there you need to accelerate. Looks like he may have hurt himself, Bob. He kind of stumbled over his own 2 feet, got up slowly, and was motioning to the sidelines, Larod Stevens Howling was. But just watch here at the end if we can see anything. Trying to get away and kind of just stumble on his feet and then a little slow to get up. Kind of motion to the sidelines. I think he went off. And yes, indeed, he is going to the sidelines and spend a little time up there. Might be a little bit gimpy, but hopefully not a whole lot wrong. He can get back in the game.
Yeah, he's just back from an injury, so they want to make sure he's okay when the regular season begins.
You need him. You need that kind of speed. That battle for that third down back I thought was going to turn into a little bit more than it happened to. And look who's at center. Kelvin Beachum. He's already played tackle tonight.
Yeah, he's going to try to do all those line positions. First and goal now. The Steelers are going to have opportunities to throw into the end zone, you would think, because they don't have any timeouts left. It goes to Marcus Wheaton instead. And now Jones will have to come up and spike the ball, although there's a flag down, and it looks like Guy Whipper might be called for something here. Not sure exactly.
Looked like he may have hit him in the back.
Illegal block in the back. Number 61. 10-yard penalty. First down.
On the little swing back, the guy was trying to keep Marcus Wheaton from getting touched. Watch, coming into your screen right there. He's on his back. I don't know whether he was blocking him or not, but he certainly had his back turned to Guy Whipper, and Guy was trying to give him just a little bit of a shove. Didn't need much. The speed of Wheaton.
All right, only 9 seconds left now. And that's a hurtful penalty anytime you're down that deep. Now, Guy Whipper, I expect to make the roster. He's an 8-year vet. They don't have many other answers here, it looks like, unless they go maybe on the waiver wire, but it depends on how many.
Please reset the game clock to 8 seconds.
We were talking about that in the pregame show too, Bob, and you mentioned it correctly that a guy like Beachum is a guy that's going to be around because of his versatility. Being able to play every position along that offensive line. But then who's going to be the 7th guy that they keep? Are they going to keep 8? Or is that 8th guy going to be on the practice squad? Some tough decisions to be made this week on Saturday.
Yeah, Malecki's in the mix, there's no question, as is Whipper. So these young guys, and Sweetham's out to attempt a 37-yarder, and this is good. So the Steelers do take advantage of a good defensive stand, which forced a punt from Carolina to Pittsburgh. They move down the field, but then they shoot themselves in the foot with a penalty and still come away with 3.
It's the kind of thing that's been happening to the Steeler offense. No matter who's been in there, the mistakes have cost them on very critical drives. Trying to get 7 points, that time they did wind up getting points, but so many occasions this preseason we've seen where the casual mistake has hurt the Steelers and kept them out of the end zone. Those mistakes are going to have to be corrected if the Steelers are going to be effective, especially early on in the year.
Carolina special teams, they've been very good so far in this preseason. Although I wouldn't expect anything except a little dribbler by Sweezum here just to try to end this half and go in and then see more auditions in the second half as they continue to count down to 53, the roster. Now about their special teams coach, it's interesting because he has an interesting history. He played, you might remember that play, Richard Rodgers, the iconic play in college football, the Cal Bears on the field when they beat Stanford and the band ended up in the end zone.
Right.
Well, he was the captain of their special teams, Cal, and he called that play, and he was one of the guys who lateraled on the field. And there were 5 laterals. It ends up in the end zone. The trombone player gets flattened. Remember that?
He's probably still have pain because he got run over. The trombone player, that is. Yeah, that was a great play. And that's a classic because they always show that, the band's already celebrating on the field and they get beat by ensuing touchdown.
The whole band is out there, backs to the play, boom, and the drum. I think
you could hear them too. They're probably playing the alma mater.
Boom! Touchdown! Game over. Cal beats Stanford. And Richard Rodgers was the man who called that play. The 5 lateral. Clausen takes a knee, and that's going to do it for a half. Entertaining first quarter, certainly. A lot of points in this half. The Steelers get a touchdown pass there by Landry Jones early to counteract one by Anderson, but it was the big one again, who had 149 yards. That's the first one from 35 yards out. The Steelers then go Jones to Paulson, who's had a nice half. And then the big play later was the 87-yarder again, who burned everyone. 17-10. We'll be back with halftime activities from Bank of America Stadium right after this. Back at halftime, Panthers have a 17-10 lead, thanks in large part to Derek Anderson to Ted Ginn. 220 yards passing for Anderson, 149 go to Ginn on 2 big plays, 35 yards, 87 yards, and both times it was Curtis Brown who got victimized in coverage. And right now let's go down to the sideline. Jeff Rosella standing by with head coach Mike Tomlin.
All right, thanks very much, Bob. Coach Tomlin, we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. Error-free in terms of penalties not hurting you, but the big play did with the 2 long touchdown passes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, can't have that. You know, we got some aspiring Steelers that's not helping their cause or ours, obviously, by letting the ball get over top of our heads.
On the offensive side of the ball, you started off the game on the first possession, you put up points. Same on the last possession, but not much in between. Your thoughts on that side?
You know, I like what we're doing, actually. I like the way 3 is handling himself and handling the offense. You know, we weren't perfect, obviously, but some encouraging things, particularly from the quarterback position.
I saw most of the starters didn't make an appearance tonight, but one group that did is your offensive line. You think they needed more work?
No, more than anything, I wanted to make sure that 3 got off to a clean start, and you put some quality players around them and allow them to get comfortable, and we were able to go down the field and score because of it.
4th preseason game, second half, what are you looking for?
You know, just finish. You know, I think the condition of your backup shows up in these circumstances. Very rarely they get an opportunity to absorb a lot of snaps. They get an opportunity to show their level of conditioning and their ability to execute as fatigue sets in.
All right, thanks very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Bob, back up to you.
All right, JV and Coach T, thanks very much. And now it's time for the Hyundai First Half Stats, brought to you by Hyundai, proud partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers in Edmond. A lot of those total yards were on 2 big plays from Anderson to Ted Ginn.
A little bit too much, Bob, and I think Coach Tomlin hit on it. You know, those guys, the backups, are going to play until their tongues hang out, and he wants to see what their conditioning is all about. A little bit too much there, 267 total yards and 217 passing yards. That's way too much. Steelers need to really correct that, and they will have a chance because they get the ball first.
Yes, they did. They deferred the opening kickoff. And so now, I just want to get your thoughts real quick. We mentioned the concussion settlement, $765 million. As a former player, and I know you've been dinged up before, what does this suggest? What does this tell the former players? I'm sure it looks like a win for the NFL because $765 is a mere pittance compared to what they normally make. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but it does send a message.
Well, of the 4,500 players that are part of that lawsuit, it seemed the numbers initially work out to be about 106,000 or so per player, which is not going to work out like that, of course, because guys have varying conditions. But I try to look at it as a win-win. The guys at least are going to get something, and the NFL is trying to perpetuate its existence because you can't go around and have these lawsuits continually flying around when you know that play has to continue. It's the guys on the field, Bob, that there's a big question mark on, and what's going to be their restitution, if any, after their playing careers.
Yeah, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. The NFL will use $75 million of it for funding research and education to make sure the concussion problem, which leads to another problem. If they're trying to take that hit away, the upstairs hit, now people are going low. And now the NFL says, we might take a look at the low hits, and that did not sit well with Ryan Clark. We're going to talk more about that in his comments earlier this week, a little later in the broadcast. But you see Landry Jones, pretty good. He looked poised, didn't he, in the first half?
Yeah, it looks like he's very comfortable back there. It doesn't look like a 13 quarterback, I can tell you that. Missed a couple of easy swing passes. I think that's just a little overzealous, trying to get the ball out of his hands, but just needs to take a step back, take a notch back just a little bit and tone it down just a little bit. I think he's going to be just fine.
Felix Jones following his blocking head first. Nice little run there by Felix Jones. You know, it's not a big sample size, but for me, I've been pretty impressed by what I've seen from him.
You know, and he's not running behind the top guys now, and still, he comes out and gets a nice 6-yard gain or so. Big Joe Long leading the way there, and some guys fighting for a chance on that offensive line. You just never know what's going to happen.
You also don't know about that tight end position with Heath Miller. The fact that he was on the injury report suggests that they may activate him, but I don't think he's going to be ready for the first several weeks anyway. You have Paulson, you have McCoy, you need bodies there. Beecham's been lining up there as well at minutes. Felix Jones gets first down yardage right there. And that position may indicate that some other positions may not get the luxury of having an extra player on that position battle.
Well, we've seen it happen so far as you look at the little C block there. Guys coming in through the big bodies, stepping in there, and big number 82, Jamie McCoy, trying to get some playing time and show that he can block at tight end. You know, when you have to bring a tackle in to play tight end, you don't want David Johnson in there blocking right away, and you certainly are not going to put Heath Miller in there to block much, especially early on after he returns.
Felix Jones once again getting extra yardage as they tried to strip that ball away. He hangs on, and they get out to about the 37-yard line. Should be a very interesting season. You remember last year, now we talked about this in the first preseason game we had. They started 6-3. Things were looking great. All of a sudden, an injury takes place to Roethlisberger. He had a real good start to his season, and things kind of unraveled a little bit.
Well, who's going to be the go-to guy? Remember, the go-to guy around the goal line has always been, for the last several years, Heath Miller. If you don't have him in the first couple of games, then who is going to be the safety valve, the sure-handed guy that makes the big plays around the goal line?
And this is Jones going deep for Wheaton, who falls down on the play. Both guys looking for pass interference. Josh Norman was in coverage. He wanted a flag on Wheaton. Wheaton said, no, you tripped me. It looked like incidental contact. It goes incomplete, no flag.
So Ben Roethlisberger is going to be really looking forward. You know, he had some options there with some big bodies early on. Plexico Burress, of course, is one of those guys that you were going to look forward to, and he got hurt early in camp, so there's not a big body down there. Derek Moore, maybe? You just don't know how the numbers are going to pan out, but when they go 4 wide, you can pretty much know who those 4 wide receivers are going to be.
All right, Alvester Alexander now into the game in the backfield. Here comes pressure. Landry Jones fires. Has his man there, and it's going to be close to first down yardage for Michael Palmer, the reserve tight end. He looks like he has it for another first down, as the Steelers will make that one. And Palmer came in here from Clemson midway through camp. 4-year player. He's been around. He was with Seattle. He offers depth.
One thing I've noticed about the Steeler tight ends, they're very well coached. Coach James Daniels. Coach Daniels and I have history. He was just starting out in the coaching ranks when I was a senior at Auburn University, and he's since done a couple of stints, one in Atlanta, one in New York for the Giants, and wound up here in Pittsburgh under the Cowher regime and hung on after Mike Tomlin came. Oh, what a great second effort.
Felix Jones once again trying to get something after initial contact, and they came up and knocked him down. It was Melvin White who finally got him, but if he gets away from that, who knows?
Felix Jones trying to find his way around. Not much there, and yet the second effort, staying on his feet. And what I like there, Bob, protecting the football. Tucks it down, make sure he's not dropping the ball all over the ground. He's got to be getting a little winded, has a couple of carries under his belt now. And yet they're going to keep giving it to him. I think they want to run the football and run that clock in this third and fourth quarter.
Second down now. Again, it's Jones. They want to get a good look. As Edmund said, not much there up the middle. As the Carolina defensive line, which is their strength, there's no question. They added to it this year. The #1 pick, Star Latulele out of Utah, and also K'Wan Short out of Purdue. Their first 2 picks were both on the defensive line. That's what this team likes to do, that 4-3 deep.
Both tackles, too. Nose tackle type and a defensive tackle type. Both of those guys on the inside. They want the big bodies to clog up all of that stuff, and also to be able to get a push inside, which they've been lacking in their pass rush lately. You want to get up in the quarterback's face. The first place to apply pressure would be right up the defensive middle.
Here's Landry Jones now. Spread formation. He fires, and he has a man in and out of actually his hands. It falls incomplete, going for Palmer, and that'll set up a punt situation as Carolina will get an opportunity back on offense.
Palmer not quite able to get the separation between he and the defender. You have to protect the ball with his body. That's a nice job. Right there by number 57. Jordan Sin again making a play. Jordan Sin has been all over the field for the Carolina Panthers tonight.
Butler back to kick, and it's Talib Ikaro back to receive. He's had a couple of fair catches here. This time Butler with a high hanger, and another fair catch called for. As Vitrone was down there, the man with the long hair out of Chartiers Valley. And so again, Carolina gets no return. They'll have the ball at their own 18-yard line. We're going to take a break here. Jimmy Clausen back on the field when we return to Bank of America Stadium. We're back, 10:52 remaining third quarter, 17-10 Carolina, and tonight's Steeler game is brought to you in high definition in partnership with Xfinity, the future of awesome. There you see Hayward, Ziggy Hood, McClendon. That's the passing of the torch. Those guys eventually will be your defensive line. Brett Kiesel still playing and still playing well. Al Woods pursuing Armand Smith, and he runs him out of bounds there. Baxter's been active as well.
Very nice pursuit by Baxter, getting all the way to the sidelines and only allowing a 2-yard gain. That's a win for the defense. To be able to pursue on the fly, release from your blocker, keep his hands off of you, keep him from holding you because they don't call it every single time. Release to the ball carrier, make him run flat to the line of scrimmage.
All right, Jimmy Clausen now. Could it be his final quarter as a Carolina Panther quarterback? We'll see when they make their roster cuts. He makes a pass right there, and it's to Talib Caro out of Louisiana Tech.
You got to wonder how that feeling is, Bob. When you don't know if it's the end of your career or not. You're fighting for a roster spot. Are they going to keep 2? Are they going to keep 3? All indicators are that they're going to keep 2, and you just don't know where you're going to be after this game.
As I said, their GM is Dave Gettleman. Came to Carolina from the Giants, where he served as the director of pro personnel for 13 years. Part of 6 Super Bowl teams in 3 different cities. So he has a lot of experience, and they typically, at least in New York, did not go with 3. They went with 2, Manning and Carr, and the philosophy seems to be the same here. We'll find out. But it was Clausen pulling the Cliff Stout trick. He carried a clipboard for 2 years and got paid for it. But most guys want to play. They don't want to sit on the sideline, and you don't want to do it at the expense of an injury to another guy, but you do want to get your opportunities, and he just hasn't had any.
Well, quarterbacks around the league are a valued commodity, and they seem to hang around to have nice careers, even if they don't play much. Hopefully he's one of those guys that gets an opportunity to do that.
Clausen hits his man there, and it's Shaw, and he's wrapped up by Vince Williams, another linebacker. Robert Gold in on that one. James Shaw out of Jacksonville State. Probably has no chance. You look at their roster, you got Steve Smith and Brandon LaFell, 2 guarantees. Very good receivers. Armonte Edwards, we haven't seen him tonight, the kid out of Appalachian State, and he's a guy who's made the roster. You would think Gins made the roster, and then Dominic Hickson and David Geddes, we even talked about him. He did not play either, and he's a kid who's had a very good camp, an 88-yard touchdown last week against, actually that was a couple of years ago, but he tore his ACL. He's back, and he's looking pretty good. So
offense number 82, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
They got a lot of choices there.
Yeah, they do. And Ginn is probably going to be more of a returner guy. He's going to be playing a lot of the special teams. He could come in as a 5th receiver if they ever go 5 wide with nobody in the backfield, but he'll get his chances. But he's not an every down wide receiver as he showed tonight. He probably has the potential to do that. And if there are any injuries, believe me, he's the first guy to put in there with his speed. But Steve Smith has proven to be a very durable veteran. Wow, look at the rush on the outside.
Yes, indeed. And it's Chris Carter. We've been just talking about linebackers who need to make plays. There's the kid out of Fresno State, 5th-round pick a couple of years ago, and he needs to make plays like that.
Watch him come off the edge from the bottom of your screen. Oh, my goodness. He gets an offensive back. No, that's a tight end that was in the backfield, was supposed to pick him up, and he just ran around him like he wasn't even there.
Yes, indeed. Chris Carter, 3rd season. And, they talk about 3rd years. 2012, he had an abdominal injury, and coming into this season, no career sack. So that's a good sign, and he needs to do more. They liked him enough to draft him in the 5th round 2 years ago. Numbers game may work against him, however. We'll see. This time, miscommunication. Josh Victorian on Brenton Burson. It goes incomplete, and now Steelers will get that ball back.
That was actually a very good job by Clausen. He faked the count, saw where the blitz was coming, but his wide receiver wasn't on the same page, Bob. At that time, you need to go to the hot read, cut off your route. The blitz is coming. Somebody's going to get on the quarterback quickly. Clausen saw it. Wide receiver did not. He's running out there thinking they were still in the same play and missed the check down.
Brad Nortman punting once again, 4th and 14, and it's Reggie Dunn with another opportunity to show his speed. It's a low kick. It's a very returnable kick. And the first guy down gets him there. Nice special teams work there by Carolina. We'll be back with more. Pittsburgh goes to work on offense here in Charlotte. Pompiani, Edmund Nelson, Jeff Brzella, 17-10 Panthers have the lead. Ben Roethlisberger did not play tonight. That's not a surprise. He's done his work. He's getting set for the opener now, September the 8th at Heinz Field. By the way, Landry Jones playing all game, 11 for 23, 140 yards and a touchdown. Felix Jones, Jones, 10 carries, 51 yards, and Felix Jones remains in the backfield here to start this possession. Little misdirection, and again it goes to Dunn, trying to show that speed if he can. Tough yards up the middle, gets about 8. Good effort there by Reggie Dunn. Jeff Rosella standing by with Big Ben Roethlisberger, who must like what he's seen from Marcus Wheaton by and large.
One of the other offensive weapons, who's one of the younger guys on the offense, Marcus Wheaton. You're impressed with what he's done tonight and through the preseason so far.
He's done some good things. Obviously still has some room for improvement, but he's a rookie and you're going to get that. But the things I like to see from him is that he doesn't make the same mistakes twice, and he's he's a hard worker and he wants to be great, so that's good.
One of the points of improvement going into this season, the running game. Last year you guys finished in the bottom third in the league in rushing. How do you improve upon that going into this season?
Well, I think for us it starts up front. It's the big guys, and when they open up holes, it makes it a lot easier for the running back. So I don't think there was any need to panic. We didn't panic, and we just addressed what we need to do, and hopefully if we stay healthy, we'll be able to run the ball.
How's the offense evolved from last year, your second year now working with Todd?
It's more familiar. You're more comfortable because you are another year into it. Being able to work together, communicate, figure things out, and it's good. I really think that the sky could be the limit for us.
How excited are you to get this thing going in 10 days or so?
Very. I'm ready to go. Being out here is hard not to be playing, but I know that it's right around the corner.
All right, thanks very much for your time.
No problem. Thanks.
Bob Becker.
All right, Landry Jones under pressure, gets it off to Jones. Jones to Jones. Felix trying to get to midfield. He does. Boy, the pressure came quickly right there off the edge. It was Anderson Russell who put the pressure on the blitz, and Jones did a good job getting it off.
And that's a lot better, showing some patience, trying to let his running back get wide open and delivering the ball. Now watch the pressure. Look at it. He's in full speed trying to get out of the way, and yet has the presence of mind to get the ball to his running back. Felix Jones doing a nice job hauling it in.
Second down for the Steelers now, right at midfield here. Trailing by 7. Jones this time going nowhere as the Carolina front 7 is there to make that play. And on that tackle was Wes Horton out of USC. Guy who had 15 career sacks as a member of the Trojans.
A little bit too much penetration up front there. There were some Carolina Panthers in the backfield. Backside guard was trying to pull, got knocked off. If you watch it right here, trying to come off. Big number 94. Jumping back. That's Siona 4?
Yep. Former draft pick of them. Here comes Landry Jones now with some time. Flings it, going for Wheaton up high. Avoids a hit off his fingertips, falls incomplete. So that was thrown into triple coverage, but it results in an incompletion and another punt formation.
Here it is right here, coming off of the, oh, get your hands on it there and catch it, young fella. You want to try to bring that one down. That would have been a big play. Sione Fua and Cam Newton, Bob, the only two guys left on this roster from that draft year. Was that 2009, 2010, 2009?
I think 9, yes, I'm not sure. Here's Akaru now, tries to make a fair catch. It hits. Who does it hit? Does it hit a Carolina? It does. It hits a Panther who's backpedaling, and the Steelers have it. That's a special teams blunder that you simply cannot afford to make. And that time it was Ben Jacobs out of Fresno State who in special team was not aware where that ball was. It was under kick. Whose responsibility is that? Is that the kick? Is that the returner?
Somebody's got to yell, Peter, Peter, Peter. What that means, Bob, is don't play with it. No pun on words there, but still. Peter, Peter, Peter is the call. Somebody get out of the way. Everybody with a white shirt, run. If the ball hits you, that's exactly what can happen.
So Ben Jacobs there is the victim. It hits him. It was a Mormon punt. And the Steelers now take over in good field position.
Previous play is under review.
All turnovers under review, and that's an automatic call, and that's what we're going to do. Go under the roof and find out if it stands. It should. Steelers should be in operating position. All right, we're back. Greg Warren recovers that fumble. Let's find out if it stands.
After reviewing the play, the ball did hit a Carolina player, recovered by Pittsburgh. 1st and 10, Pittsburgh.
The long snapper comes through big time.
And watch the foot coming up at about the top of your screen right there. Bang, there it hits it. That's a live ball, folks. Somebody get on top of it. And Greg Warren, the ageless one, 9 years in the league, by the way, as a long snapper. Very calm, very quiet guy. Seen but not heard.
He's a North Carolina guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is old stomping grounds down here. So good stuff for Greg Warren. Been a consummate pro. Here's Landry Jones now trying to make it stand in pressure. Gets away from it underneath to Felix Jones. Jones sidesteps a would-be tackler. Gets out of bounds. Nice little dump off there for a gain of about 5.
Landy recognizing he nearly got sacked and then all of a sudden realized he had his little safety valve over there. Jones to Jones again. And Felix is a little shiftier than you think, isn't he? I mean, he just has nice movement when he gets the ball. Very good feet. I think he's got some more games in him.
No question. I think the Steelers are happy to have him at this point. Was not fitting in with Philadelphia after being released by Dallas. Here's Jones again now. And he makes a nice cut right there, and he gets close to first down yardage. That's instinct. That's talent. That's a guy who's done it before, and he shows you right there.
Very patient, too. You know, allows his blocking to get there. You can see the pursuit coming to the outside as you watch it here. The pursuit, and he cuts against the pursuit, gets just inside the linebacker right there, and that's all he needs. Just a little bit of a crack. Then he gets his pads down low, gets what he can get. That's a pretty good run on a 2nd down where really he could have been tackled for a loss.
3rd down now and short. Alvester Alexander in the game. Landry Jones lines up in the shotgun. Calvin Beachum at center. Malecki's on at right guard now as the Steelers try different things. Jones steps away from the pressure and he throws it right into the waiting arms right there of number 24, Josh Norman, who's off to the races and will be dragged down by Derek Moy in a nice burst of speed. Josh Norman, that's his 4th preseason interception this preseason. He's made a statement. Not a good pass by Landry Jones and a good effort by Moy to stop him.
Well advised, Landry has gotten away with some passes into some tight spots here, but this is a play, very big play by the Carolina Panthers, but Bob, in my opinion, a bigger play for Derek Moy. Look at no give up in that guy, running him down. That could be a touchdown with just about anybody else in the league. Most wide receivers just give it up. Look at Moy, he was an intended receiver right here, gets it, and now he's in trailing position. He's got 2 steps on him, and Moy just flat runs him down. That is a big play. That's what keeps you in the NFL and on an NFL roster. That's what gets you a paycheck on Sundays, that kind of hustle.
70-yard return and a little wounded duck out of the hands there of Clausen. I don't know if that was deflected or not, but Josh Norman has just been electrifying. Last year, a 5th-round pick, and he had a team leading 8 passes defense last year. As I said, now this is his 4th preseason interception this year. Derek Moore, you're right. Got to give him kudos for that. Did not give up, and I think that team appreciates it.
Oh, yeah, you'll put that on film, and there are a lot of teams that'll see that and like, who's that guy that ran?
Well, I'm not so sure he'll be looking at another team. He may very well be on this team.
Let's hope not.
Terrell Poole back in the game now. He tries to cut around Chris Carter, runs into Big Al Woods, and he's going backwards. Looked like a more promising play. Gets only 2 because of 65 on the backside.
Big Al Woods looking like he's going to be the 5th defensive lineman. Are they going to keep 5? Or are they going to keep 6? Al Woods, the first backup, can play any position along the defensive line. That's one of the reasons why we already talked about Beachum on the offensive line being able to play multiple positions. Al Woods is the same way, able to play nose and also defensive end.
3rd down and long now facing Carolina as they go 3 wides for Jimmy Clausen. Clausen with pressure from Alan Baxter forces him to go the other way. The ball is loose. Will it stay in bounds for the Steelers to get it? No, it goes out of bounds there. Keon Wilson had a chance. There is a flag. It looks like it'll be a holding on Carolina, but good pursuit by Alan Baxter once again.
This defensive group is getting after it. Chris Carter, hot pursuit.
Holding, 74 offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Little holding coming around the left end. You see that
That's on
great
Baxter.
pass rush. Baxter coming out there. And then Chris Carter coming in, causing the fumble. If that ball stays in bounds, well, you almost had your hands on it. Keon Wilson trying to get a grasp on. That's a great defensive stand after a big turnover, Bob.
I've seen a lot from Alan Baxter. Makes me think he's going to make this roster too. He's been very impressive. Chris Carter, how about a sack and now a forced fumble in this half? And Graham Gano will have to set her for a 41-yard field goal, which is up and good. And Carolina extends that lead to 10. But it could have been worse. They were looking at a pick 6 by Norman. Instead, Moy runs him down. The defense stiffens and they settle for 3. It's 20-10 Carolina. Back with more right after this on KDKA TV. We are back. 20-10 Panthers get a field goal. Could have been worse with 1:34 left third quarter. New on Pittsburgh CW, family is power. The original vampire family swore it to each other over 1,000 years ago. The original spin-off of the CW's The Vampire Diaries, revolving around the original vampire family in New Orleans. That's Tuesday at 8, beginning this fall, Pittsburgh's CW. All right, as the Panthers took a bite out of the Steelers right there with that interception, setting up 3. The kick over the head of Reggie Dunn, and the Steelers now go back to work with Landry Jones, who has played this entire game and will continue to do so. When we return, time for a break right here on your home for Steeler football, KDKA. We're back. Late third quarter, Panthers add to their lead at 20-10. Landry Jones for the night, 13 of 27, 149 yards. In case you missed it, he had a touchdown pass with David Paulson early in this game of 13 yards. First drive drove him right down 80 yards, and now a costly interception, 70 yards on a return by Josh Norman, which results in 3. And Felix Jones has become a workhorse here in this game. 13 carries, 55 yards. He also has 2 catches for 9 out of the backfield, and we're going to look more at him. That time not much there as the Panthers lock him up. Fua along with Ben Jacobs.
More substitutions along that Steeler offensive line. Guy Wimper has gone to tackle. And to my knowledge, the first appearance of Mike Golick Jr.
Yes, we haven't seen Golick too much. Dad, of course, Mike Golick, part of Mike and Mike on the radio, and he's out of Notre Dame, undrafted. He has a degree in film, TV, and theater. Talking to him about that, so he's maybe trying to be a chip off the old block too, if this doesn't work. Landry Jones now steps in the pocket, throws, and another interception. This one is picked off once again. I don't know if there's communication problems there or what, but it was Colin Jones out of TCU who stepped in front of that one, and Jones gives the Panthers the ball again back deep in Steeler territory, and Landry Jones has had his issues the last 2 passes.
Can't really figure out whether that was just a horrible throw, which it really looked like, or it was a wrong route, or both. But if you look at it, Landry Jones is not under duress. It looks like he goes and has a receiver underneath.
Palmer.
Looked like that was Palmer underneath, wasn't it?
Yep.
And just overthrew him horribly. That was just a horrible throw. And Landry, after starting out pretty hot and with the hot hand, has cooled off considerably.
All right, so once again, field position now for the Panthers and Jimmy Clausen as he hands off straight ahead. Not much there as Keon Wilson again got the original tackle, but very elusive running there by Armand Smith, and he gets an extra 2 yards after the hit.
Defense coming on the field, making a good stop after a big interception, holding the Carolina Panthers to just a field goal. And now no rest for the weary. Get right back out there, boys. We need you. And I think Mike Tomlin was talking about conditioning right there with the halftime interview with Jeff Rosella. Conditioning indeed in the second half.
Plus, it was 94 degrees today, so this is, we didn't get much of that at training camp, but this is an opportunity to see how guys last in humid and hot conditions. We have completed 3 quarters in Bank of America Stadium, and Carolina, which scored first, continues to lead. They led by 7 at halftime. Had a field goal here on a Landry Jones interception and return by Josh Norman. Sets up 3 by Graham Gano. 20-10 as we head to the final quarter of the preseason when we come back. Football is brought to you by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Save time, save money, stay healthy. Get started at highmarkhealthtools.com. By Xfinity, the future of awesome. By Pepsi, grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out there and live it. It's time to live for now. And by your Pittsburgh Hyundai dealers. Test drive a Hyundai car or crossover today. We're back, fourth quarter underway, and Vince Williams makes a stop on Ahmad Smith. And Vince Williams had another good camp. He's opened up some eyes of the Steeler defensive coaches. A lot of good young linebackers seizing opportunities, which made Adrian Robinson expendable for the trade for Felix Jones. And then you called it last week. You thought Stevenson Sylvester might be cut, and he was.
Yeah, Stevenson Sylvester always nicked up, had a tough time staying healthy. And I think, to my knowledge, had one special teams tackle all of last year. Really needed to step up his game in this camp and just and did not do it.
Third down for Jimmy Clausen, operating on the shotgun, 3 wides, and he looks into the end zone, going for his man Shaw. He gets him at the 5 to the 4, and then the surge pushes him back. But I thought he was going to try to go up top there. He went more on a straight line pass, but that's a nice catch there for James Shaw to Jackson State, and it's first to go for Carolina.
Again, very difficult to defend the fade stop route. Just don't know when the wide receiver is going to stop, so you have to be there. You're on an island out there. You have to really lock in, and somebody needs to yell. When that ball's in the air, somebody needs to yell, "Ball!" And that'll alert you to get tighter on the receiver. Did not happen there, however.
Last time Pittsburgh was down here, the Steelers came up with a nice goal line stand, forcing 3 instead of 7. Armand Smith cut inside. Williams trips him up, and he's short of the goal line. Nice tackle there, shoestring variety by 44. Williams.
Ball was on the ground, looked like it was a fumble, but down by contact. Good thing, too. I believe the Carolina Panthers recovered that supposed fumble in the end zone. We take a look at it here. See what happens. Comes down, ball pops loose as he's already on the ground. Very close to getting into the end zone there. Look at the effort. Vince Williams diving, trying to get a piece. Ball pops out right there at the very end.
Second and goal now. Clausen again falls down. Smith, ball comes out. Smith recovers. Clausen tripped, and the ball, the handoff never took place. And very fortunate for Smith that he fell right on it. Could have been a Steeler ball.
Steelers get down here. They get really tough in the red zone, especially short yardage situation. Got stepped on right there. Yeah. Tripped over or something.
Hayworth Hicks, it looks like. One of those guys. 175.
Well, you don't want Hayworth Hicks to step on me. His foot may never be the same again. That big old guy step on me.
Size 19 or whatever.
What happened to your foot, man? Hayworth stepped on me, and now I got to wear a size 17 on one shoe and 12 on the other.
All right, Clausen now. Shotgun, third down. Rolling right. Surveying the field. Looks into the end zone. And does not have his man. It's incomplete. So the Steelers once again come up with 3 solid downs right there, which will force yet another field goal and keep it a 2-possession game.
Believe me, Dick LeBeau has taken notice of those 2 stands by the defense, by the backup guys, no less. Mike Tomlin has taken notice. Dick LeBeau very proud of his guys. And there are no excuses on defense. You just go out there, you have to stop them. Hold them to 3 at the very worst, maybe stop them altogether. Let's get the offense back on the field, give them a chance.
All right, Graham Gano once again out. This one a chip shot for him. 24-yarder is up and good. And Carolina up by 13. Again, could have been worse.
You have to applaud that effort.
Yeah, and the Steelers would like to get a win here just because you don't want to go through an entire preseason winless, even though it doesn't matter. I get all that, but still.
That's what they say, Bob. That's what they say. It really doesn't matter, but believe me, wins matter.
We'll be back with more from Carolina right after this. There you see the offensive line, and they hope to keep defenses hostages all season long, which is my cheap segue into the show coming up Mondays at 10. Hostages. It's the high-octane drama starring Emmy Award winner Toni Collette as a surgeon thrust into a chilling political conspiracy when her family is taken hostage by a rogue FBI agent, Duncan Carlisle. Check out Hostages Monday at 10 this fall on KDKA and CBS, where you can expect more.
Smooth as buttermilk, Bob. Smooth as buttermilk.
Sometimes you try to do that, you don't know where you're going. I saw the O-line, and my goodness.
I knew where you were going with it, though.
Sometimes you lead yourself into a box, and you don't know how to get out of it. Anyway, back to business. The Steelers down 2 touchdowns. Landry Jones, who's Come away the last 2 possessions, 2 ugly picks. 170 yards on a return, not a pick six, but set up a field goal, and then the other one was 23 yards. So he'd like to get that out of his system.
And these guys, some of them third teamers on that offensive line, they want a good showing. They don't want the quarterback throwing the ball to the other team. Give them a shot.
Now Vester Alexander now trying to make a move at the line. Not much doing there. Eventually Robert Lester from Alabama comes up and makes that play. By the way, speaking of college football, which is underway, what did you think of Johnny Manziel in that decision? The NCAA made a quick decision. It looked like they didn't want to wash their hands of that altogether. He gets suspended for 1/2 of the game against Rice, which likely he wouldn't play more than half anyway. They didn't want to be the ones to step in my opinion anyway, shutting down Manziel versus Alabama in week 2.
Wonder what would have happened if it hadn't been Johnny Manziel. Well, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Because they take their time with everything except that decision. But you're right.
Seems like a pretty easy question to answer. Did he sign autographs? Yes. Did he get paid? How can you not track down whether he got paid or not? Apparently that was a very difficult question to answer, and they came up with a resolution that they did. So here again, you know, he's in violation. I'm not a big fan of how the NCAA handles stuff like that in the first place. I think the athletes, they need to figure out a way, because Bob, I can't remember. I've never been as broke as I was when I was a full scholarship athlete at Auburn University. Never been that broke. Needed money to wash clothes and put $5 of gas in my car. Shame.
Landry Jones now with pressure coming from the outside, and he gets crushed right there from the outside. Wes Horton absolutely beat. I don't know if it was Mike Golick or not, but Wes Horton was in on that one. He comes up with a sack on Landry Jones.
Very typical now of a young quarterback that has now gotten picked off twice, and now he hangs on to the ball a little bit too long because he has that indecision. Watch. He's thinking about releasing it, thinking about it. He knew he needed to get rid of the football, but he's had 2 interceptions, just hung on it just a little bit too long, and now the sack. And he's getting a good talking to by Gradkowski, saying throw the ball, throw it away, but do something with it.
And it was not Golick, my bad. There was Joe Long on the other side from Wayne State. But he just got right around Long and made that play. And there's a nice special teams tackle there by Overbay, who just was the intended receiver on the last pass play. All right, we'll go to a break. Steelers still trail by 2 possessions, 13 points when we return. We are back. Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Bob Pompiani, Edmund Nelson, Jeff Frisella, counting down until the opener, which is September the 8th at what should be a raucous Heinz Field. Steeler fans looking forward to making up for an 8-8 season 1 year ago, and they'll get their chance starting with Tennessee. But how about Edmund, that controversy in Denver? They have pictures of Joe Flacco up everywhere, and Flacco had a lot to do with Denver not moving on last year, obviously. What do you think of that? Even though it's an NFL lid lifter,
I think the people in Denver are like, lid this lift, because we don't want to see Flacco's mug all over our city, especially when he ended our dreams last year.
He did do that. Al Woods ends the dreams on that play, comes up with a tackle. Let's go downstairs. Jeff Frisella standing by with the hitman, Larry Foote.
All right, thanks very much, Bob. Here with Larry Foote. Larry, you've been a part of this team longer than most guys, and the team's reputation is built on defense. Can this defense be elite once again?
Absolutely. I mean, last 2 years we're #1 in the league. We go 8-8, and we've been doing it for so long. I think teams are starting to sweep our statistics underneath the rug. But we got a lot of vets. We got some young guys that need to step up, and they do that, we'll be #1 again.
A couple of the vets that didn't play a full season last year, Troy and Lamar. How important is it to have those 2 guys healthy and ready to go all season?
Well, arguably they're the best at their position, so we need them. Troy out there, we're a better defense. Everybody knows that. And we need Wood to go back to Pro Bowl form, sacking the quarterback every other play. And we do that, we'll be dominant.
Your impressions thus far through training camp and as you get ready for the regular season of the impact Jarvis Jones can make?
We're going to do a lot of stuff with him. He's going to help us big time. A lot of his games, stuff he runs, like tackle games inside. He's going to create some havoc for us.
One of the storylines around the NFL this preseason is players getting hit low. Now the league has cracked down on headshots. Guys seem to go low on defense. Do you think they should start banning hits to receivers that are affecting people's knees?
If they don't see it coming, I'm in agreement, change that. Give them a chance to turn up, and then you can hit them low. But them guys so big, our little DBs, you got to be able to, hit them get them on the ground. So, but as long as they're looking, hit them low. But before they turn up, you got to go a little higher midsection.
All right, thanks very much for your time, Larry.
Thanks for having me.
Bob, back up to you.
All right, Jeff and Larry, and that's a very interesting point of debate right now, and it really did irritate Ryan Clark as Reggie Dunn goes backwards now, trying to show you speed laterally. Oh, and he runs into the end zone and is going to be hit there, and what is the ruling? As he took himself into the end, it is a safety against Reggie Dunn, and you want to find out how to play yourself off of a roster, that would be it, I suppose, but 2 points for Carolina. Dunn goes backwards trying to make something happen.
Everybody can run in the NFL. That is a poor choice right there. Trying to use his speed. If you're going to catch it, don't hesitate. My goodness. Grab it and run with it, and just did not have speed enough to get him around the corner. Had he done that, it would have been a great play, Bob. But look where he catches that ball. The 3-4 yard line. That's textbook. Let it hit the ground, roll into the end zone.
All right, add 2, although we'll see if they do anything with this one. But 25-10 is your ejected Steeler fan base, and a lot of people here in black and gold. But Reggie Dunn decided to go laterally, -3 yards, a safety. Hey, Academy Award winner Robin Williams returns to TV in The Crazy Ones, an advertising genius whose methods and behavior would get him fired under normal circumstances, but his daughter and partner go in the opposite of her dad, too busy parenting the father. It's The Crazy Ones, Thursdays at 9 this fall, KDKA and CBS. So 2 more points, and that leads to a punt here. Carolina, Armand Smith trying to get to the outside. Actually, not Armand Smith. Instead, it's DJ Moore who came up on that play in good field position. But you just can't make that play, Edmund. You saw it coming, and you were right. Everyone in the NFL is fast. Even if you have 4.3 speed, you can't do that.
Well, you know, there's a bunch of guys on the other team that have 4.3 speed at all, or very close to it. And, you know, you're running laterally. You make your decision late. Let the ball drop. You'll get your shot, and if you don't, then there's always next year. But you can't do that, make that kind of mistake. And that's the kind of thing that has Danny Smith pulling his hair out. And Mike Tomlin, I might add.
And I'm sure Reggie Dunn would like a mulligan on that one. He didn't, I'm sure, didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. Good tackle there by Keon Wilson, as well as Devin Smith, who come on Armand Smith. Getting back to something Larry Foote just touched upon with Jeff. Ryan Clark on this hit now. You know, Ray Anderson, NFL's chief operations man, told the Associated Press a competition committee would explore taking action if it finds that hits to the knees are becoming a problem. So Ryan this week said, hey, I'm disgusted with this. How could you do that? You hit high, you risk concussion. Hit low, you can end careers. I get that. But where are you supposed to hit?
Yeah, Ryan alludes to the 2 to 3 foot space between a person's knees and the bottom of the top of their chest, where that's the only place that you can hit them. And remember, this is a guy that was penalized for a legal hit at the time, but was construed as an illegal hit against the Giants last year on Victor Cruz in the end zone. And he's just absolutely beside himself because, as you well know, Ryan Clark is a big hitter from the back. And you know, when you're running full speed, it's hard enough to try to find a place that's safe to try to hit a guy. And now you're saying, well, you can't hit him here. Oh, well, you can't hit him there. And well, where can you hit him? And how am I supposed to hit him? You hit a big guy up top when you're a little guy coming in there for a blow, and you could hurt yourself. We already saw early on, Bob, Cromartie Smith, I believe it was.
Offense number 72, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Have the opportunity to just lower the boom on a receiver, an open receiver, unprotected receiver, and he was hesitant. There have been cases already in the NFL where there's hesitation by a safety or a corner to hit a receiver that's wide open. This receiver catches the ball and goes in for a touchdown. Now, whose fault is that? So you're taking away from the little aggressiveness that the defensive backs can have, and you're making them tentative. That cannot be good for the game.
And it all was because of Dustin Keller, who was out for the year, and a really bad hit by DJ Swearinger of Houston. And I understand that guy, you know, when you do go low and you hit in the knees, you do risk ending a guy's career potentially. But again, it's so fast, and if you've been down, you know, you played him. But for those of you who haven't been on the field, I wish you could, just to appreciate the speed. You see it on TV, you see it in person from the stands, but when you're down there, man, it's explosive, and to make a decision split second, that's tough to do.
And Larry Foote made a good point. You know, if the guy can protect himself, then all bets are off. But if he can't protect himself, it's a little bit of a cheap shot to go and take someone's knee and possibly career out when you go low on him. So his point is well taken.
All right, Justin Brown back deep, and coming into this game, I thought it was a dead heat between Justin Brown and Derek Moy. I now give the edge to Derek Moy if, and this is a big if, the Steelers go with 5 receivers. Brown comes up, fields that one out of bounds, but if they may not. I mean, they may only go with 4. This is always part of the puzzle because they have Brown, they have Sanders, they have Jericho Cotchery, they have Marcus Wheaton. Will they take 5, and will he, number 15, be one of them? We'll be right back.
Burgers available only at McDonald's. By Ford, official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Go to neighborhoodfordstore.com to learn about the toughest truck, toughest team sweepstakes. By PNC, PNC Bank for the achiever in you. And by Treasure Hunt, paying the most for your gold, silver, jewelry, coins, and diamonds.
And we're back, and almost another interception there by Carolina. A little developing screenplay which fell to the ground, but they broke it up pretty decisively over there. And that was Jason Williams involved in that play for Carolina.
Jason Williams not fooled at all. That was a very, very safe play by the Steeler offense, trying to get their young quarterback back in the rhythm because he's lost whatever he had in the first half.
The stats bear that out. After a nice start, he's 13 for 30 now as Landry Jones. And off Alvester Alexander, not going much beyond where he is right now. 149 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, both of which resulted in field goals. One was a 70-yard return. And if not for Derek Moy's heart and hustle, they'd have 7 on the board instead of 3. All right, now it's just an opportunity to close out this preseason. Hopefully no injuries. Steelers last year, as I said, 8-8, Edmund, but 5 of their losses were by 3 points. Injuries everywhere. They had a running back by committee. It's time for you to think about your crystal ball here and tell me what you think. And it looks like Landry Jones is going to call a timeout.
Well, Larry Foote's comments were very well taken.
Pittsburgh. This is their first charge timeout.
All right, we'll get back to that in a second. But right now, some business here. It's time for our high mark of the game, presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Edmund, your high mark is?
Landry Jones to David Paulson for the score right over the middle. The tight throw, lots of traffic there. And the young fella fits it in between the defenders and Paulson, although I thought the hurdle was very nice. This was also very nice.
But you got to include the hurdle in that package. He hurdled Robert Lester, and he went on. What was his vertical leap on that play? I mean, he's a 6'4", 250-pound guy.
I would like to be down there to measure that. That was awesome.
So far, Landry Jones, second half, 3 of 10 for only 16 yards with 2 picks. It's not been what he did in the first half, specifically first quarter. But he is a young guy. You see a lot of poise out there for him, for sure. And I thought he handled the first half pretty well. Things have not gone his way this way. Once again, Newton trying to get around the long. Can't do it. Up in the air it goes to Alvester Alexander. In coverage, Ben Jacobs there. Defensively. What were you going to say earlier about the Steelers now in the crystal ball?
Well, I think that Larry Foote's point was well taken in that he said that, hey, we played good defense, and he was trying to be very nice about it. But the fact of the matter is, we covered this last week, they were #1 overall defense last year. They were #1 against the pass last year, and they were #2 defense against the rush. How much do they have to do on defense in order to get to be better than 8-8? So where was the problem? Well, it's pretty glaring to me. You have to be able to score the football. You have to be able to maintain possession of the football and keep your defense off the field. And especially with guys aging like Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark's not the youngest guy in the defensive backfield, so we're going to have to try to take care of one another. Yes, you win and you lose as a team, but it's very, very difficult and very hard on guys' psyche when you're the #1 defense in the land and you can't score enough points to become better than 8-8 and make the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to look at it from a injury-free relative season. Stay away from major injuries. If they can do that, I see 10-6, 11-5, based on the talent they have on this team, and a lot of it is still developing talent, and a lot of it is offensive line staying together. This offensive line, if you're looking for concerns, it's very, as I said, comprised of first and second round picks with Marquise Pouncey anchoring it, and then Adams and Gilbert at tackle. DeCastro, you're expecting big things from him. Ramon Foster, maybe the best of the lot in terms of just a veteran presence out there.
And he's a free agent. That's right.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if they stay healthy, that's one thing. But if they don't, then you come into different kind of situations. And but if they stay healthy, I'm looking at 10-6, 11-5. I think that's possible, certainly.
I don't think there's any way they get to be 10-6. I really don't. And I think that offensive line has a long way to improve enough to make sure that Ben Roethlisberger is comfortable back there to make the kind of plays that he's capable of making. And I think they're a work in progress. And yes, I do believe, as you do, that the longer they play together, the better they're going to be. But in the process, you have to make sure that Ben stays clean.
I had Jerome Bettis on my radio show on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan on Saturday. And he told me that he thinks, like you, that they're going to struggle early. But he believes that because there's so many young guys they're relying on, that they will get better as the season goes on, and they will not resemble the same team at the end of the year that they were in the beginning of the year. But he doesn't think this is a playoff season. And it's tough in this division. The Ravens are still the defending champs, and they've lost pieces, but they've added. And I think Cincinnati is, by all accounts, the team to beat.
I think Cincinnati is going to be very tough, and you're going to get a good measuring stick in the second game of the season. It's going to be a prime-time game against Cincinnati at Cincinnati, and that'll be a good test for this young, up-and-coming team to see where they are. You know, there's a good mix. You have the veteran Ben Roethlisberger. You got a lot of young guys around him, some developing talent, so you're hoping that that measuring stick becomes a good one. Don't forget that first game against Tennessee, one of the premier rushers in all the land coming to town. We'll see how they match up, especially defensively. Remember last year they were having so much problem with the rush early on?
Yeah.
And then they made a charge back there defensively?
Well, I think therein lies one of the keys to the season. We talk about offensive line specifically, but Mike Adams, I think, will be the key. If you're going to look at one guy and say, okay, first of all, that's the blindside guy. He has to protect the quarterback. We have seen that he's had some issues early in this camp. But when you look at who they play, in addition to the guys in the division, you know, like Terrell Suggs and Elvis Dumerville, who had 11 sacks a year, you also have, because of the schedule, you have Julius Peppers. He's going to see him, Jared Allen, Clay Matthews, all of the teams from that NFC division who have great edge rushers. So he will be the key, I think.
Julius Peppers, 6'8", 6'9", you know, 270, 280, 290 pounds. Just ridiculous athleticism for a guy his size.
Michael Palmer out of bounds, stops the clock with 3:08 remaining. 15-point deficit for the Steelers. A safety here by Reggie Dunn, who ran into the end zone on his own and got tackled.
It'll be a test, Bob, also. Marcus Gilbert has to put in a solid year. You know, I think Marquise Pouncey has had his troubles early on in the year, and oddly enough, when they brought in Kelvin Beachum as the tight end, they had their best blocking game. Let's hope that they don't have to do that. Bring in a sixth offensive lineman and go max protection just to be able to protect the quarterback.
There's a nice play coming up there to make that play was Melvin White as he shot up. Got Alexander, who thought he wasn't down, but he is down. It's going to be a fun season nonetheless. We have plenty of programs on KDK. Of course, you'll be part of a lot of our coverage before and after McDonald's Steelers kickoff on Sundays, and then we of course have the Xfinity Extra Point shows after games. We'll take your call on the CW. Got the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown Sunday nights. Sports call you on CW during the week. So plenty of opportunities for those of you out there to air your opinions about the Steelers. For that matter, every hot topic in sports over the course of a week. And here's a nice hitter, and it goes to Kashif Moore. Last-ditch effort for him to make an impression on coaches as he gets first down yardage.
Nice route and good catch with the hands by Kashif coming across the middle. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. You know, nonetheless, it's going to be very exciting to see how the guys develop and how they come along. And boy, wouldn't it be a pleasant surprise if they start out
2-minute warning,
2-0 and really get after it and make a run for the playoffs. That would be something.
All right, we reached 2 minutes left in this preseason. We'll be back with the final 2 minutes after this.
Football is brought to you by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Save time, save money, stay healthy. Get started at HighmarkHealthTools.com. By Xfinity, the future of awesome. By Pepsi, grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out there and live it. It's time to live for now. And by your Pittsburgh Hyundai dealers. Test drive a Hyundai car or crossover today.
Final 2 minutes of the preseason 2013, and Landry Jones trying to make something happen here. Goes to Michael Palmer. The Steelers going to end winless, no wins, 4 losses as this one runs out. But more important, of course, was the identification of players who will comprise this roster. And I think Mike Tomlin intimated that he might make this choice sooner rather than later, so we may hear about it as soon as tomorrow, even though the deadline's not until Saturday, I believe.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, Bob, if you heard about it tomorrow.
What's your gut say about the punter? And there's another interception, a hat trick there for Landry Jones. Colin Jones, and this is his second one against Landry Jones. He's trying to return it. Finally, Alvester Alexander comes in and makes that tackle, but Colin Jones with his second pick of the night. Third for Landry Jones. Fittingly, that's kind of how this one will be remembered. Second half, Carolina dominated.
Looks like Justin Brown fell down coming across. There he is. He's on the ground right there, and there's the easy pick. Would have been a reception if he could have kept his feet. Now right there, somebody get him on the ground. Somebody tackle him. Somebody get him. There we go. You don't want him to return one all the way for a TD on you, especially when everybody's going over there flagging around at him.
Yeah, Colin Jones, they liked him. They out of TCU, originally a 6th-round pick, I believe the 49ers, if my memory serves, and they traded a 7th-round pick to get him in here now, and I think the 7th-round pick is next year. Anyway, they like him, and they made a play to go out and get him. They actually acquired a lot of guys on defense. Drayton Florence, who we didn't see tonight, Mike Mitchell. So there you go.
Who's your fantasy big, Bob, off the Steelers team? Who did you get? I know I like Antonio Brown. I like the numbers that he puts up.
Well, I would have to agree with that.
I think Emmanuel Sanders would be a good pickup, too, on anyone's draft team. If you got with Brown, that guy right there, now that's an exciting
Except that he's going to see a lot more attention this year, and it should open things up for Emmanuel Sanders, if not Marcus Wheat. I'm anxious to get Heath Miller back at some point. The guy's been working extremely hard. We've seen him so many times put in extra work. And when he does get back, I mean, he was having
prolific scorer. Yeah, he's great on people's fantasy teams because he's a prolific scorer, tight end.
All right, the preseason is over. 25-10 your final here tonight as both teams come together. They played together now the final preseason game for 11 years in a row. Ron Rivera looking to make things happen with Cam Newton as his quarterback. Presumably Derek Anderson is the backup, and maybe no Jimmy Clausen. We'll see. But how about Ginn? He was a star tonight. Mike Tomlin appreciates that effort. 2 big touchdowns, including an 87-yarder to Burn Curtis Brown a couple of times here tonight. Brett Kiesel looking for big things, still playing well at his age.
Yes, Chris Hogue is going to be joining the broadcast team here pretty soon. Chris Hogue, Coach Hogue. Coach Hogue. By the way, let me give you one more eagle before we get out of here, Bob, because my man Cam Newton down here, hoping he has a big season. These guys are trying to get ready for the playoffs.
Cam Newton. He's put up big numbers, there's no question about that over his career. 25-10 the final. We'll be back to wrap it up and then present the postgame show. Don't go away.